that during the school dismissal time, which occurs around 3:10, peak times for apartments is about 5 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Parker, followed by Donna Van Ness.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, council members. I'm Kim Parker, Executive Director of Palladium USA. Over the last 9 years, Palladium has invested $218 million into the city of Fort Worth. You heard about our 5 properties. We don't just build here, we're long-term stakeholders. We never take our reputation here or our success in the city of Fort Worth for granted, which is why we approach every project with a community first mindset. When we first began our outreach, we heard about this unbearable traffic congestion during drop off and pickup at North Elementary. We heard it from Council Member Hill, we heard it from the ISD, we heard it from the neighborhood. And we realized very quickly that if we're to lease up high quality housing, that we'd better come up with a solution to this problem. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to have residents that want to live there if that continues to be a problem. You heard about the plan from our traffic engineer. We're committed to funding and constructing this dedicated school drop-off. And what I passed out is our commitment letter to Assistant Superintendent David Bitters outlining the project cost and scope. Assistant Superintendent Bitters noted that in his 2 decades of service, this is in conversations that we've had, that he's rarely seen a private developer step up with this level of financial commitment to infrastructure. Our plan provides stacking for more than 52 vehicles. Councilmember Hill was very transparent with us from the very beginning. She said, "This site has a tough road ahead." No pun intended. But we believe rather than walking away from a problematic situation, we should fix it. We're ready to do the work, and I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Donna Van Ness, followed by Kent DeCardenas.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. I'm Donna Van Ness, President of Housing Channel, a nonprofit partner of the City of Fort Worth for over 30 years. I want to thank you for considering prioritizing resources in the upcoming bond election toward the deepening issue of housing affordability that will not only benefit our workforce, but the city as a whole. As I've spoken many times before, I feel that this crisis is an economic issue, not just a housing issue. Housing and quality of life are the key factors in attracting new businesses, jobs, talent, and a city with a lack of affordable housing cannot sustain positive growth and prosperity. The shortage of affordable housing will not only cost our city in lower wages and productivity, but households with constrained opportunities to increase their own wealth cause slow and stagnant economic activity, and the overall health and well-being of the city will suffer. I know it's not readily thought of this way, but economists contend that housing is economic infrastructure for a city. It's one of the primary inputs that determines whether growth happens and if it continues. As Fort Worth is one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, this distinction matters more than ever. When housing is not prioritized and is treated more as a downstream issue, a few things happen. Employers struggle to attract and retain workers. Commute times lengthen and labor markets fragment. Infrastructure costs rise faster than the tax-based productivity. Young talent leaves for places where life is easier and where they can buy a home. This is not a housing problem, it's an economic development problem. An investment in affordable housing is an investment in stability, economic mobility, and long-term prosperity for working families. We create affordable housing options, we support local businesses, attract employers, and keep our city competitive for years to come. A bond allocation will allow us to accelerate housing production, preserve existing affordable homes, and ensure that as Fort Worth grows, it grows for everyone and not just those at the top of the market. I urge you to maintain a commitment to funding for affordable housing in the upcoming bond package so that working families who keep our city running can have the opportunity to live in the city that they call home. Thank you for your leadership and your service to our community and for your consideration. Thank you.
Kent De Cardenas, followed by Ann Lott.
Madam Mayor, City Council, Manager Chapa, thank you for letting me speak this today. First of all, thank you for reinstating the amount of times that the public can come and address you. I really appreciate that. And totally separate from that, I fully support a pay raise for everybody up there. Like EJ said, I think it should be more. We are, if we are going to be the Fort Worth that I think you guys fully support, we need to support you guys the same way that you guys want to support the working class people of the city. I mean, everybody needs to have a living wage, and your job is very, very important to that. Moving beyond the opposite side of you guys getting a pay increase, I'd like to speak to the amendment to the charter that would give more power to the city manager. I know that Fort Worth is a council manager style of government. However, unlike a management of a corporation with a board of trustees that hires a manager and lets them handle things, a city is a corporation for living. The people of the city, it is their lives that are on the line here, and having a responsive management system is key to that. So I'm very hesitant to any sort of amendment that turns power over to the manager. I know that this is being addressed as a streamlining of the system that is already there. That just makes things cleaner. I would say if we're going to address fix the charter, to address that matter of cleaning it up, I would suggest moving it the other way and having it be more responsive to the city council having more of a say on what programs that are instated and run by the government. Thank you.
Ann Lott, followed by David Rodriguez.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Ann Lott, and I am the Executive Director of the Inclusive Communities Project, a fair housing organization serving the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm here this evening to speak in support of Palladium Legacy Drive included in Agenda Item 26-0118. The Inclusive Communities Project is a nonprofit that works to increase the availability of affordable housing in higher opportunity areas in Dallas-Fort Worth. And to accomplish our mission, we address impediments to fair housing and challenge barriers that prevent lower income families from moving into higher opportunity areas. Concentrated poverty is a major impediment to fair housing, creating cycles of generational poverty. And the city's most recent analysis of impediments to fair housing choice recognizes the high concentrations of low-income minority families in areas surrounding federally assisted housing and low-income housing tax credit projects, also known as LIHTC developments, as an impediment to fair housing choice. And to address this concern, the city states in its plan that it will lobby the Texas legislature to amend the LIHTC funding criteria to incentivize the siting of developments outside of high poverty and racially concentrated census tracts. The Inclusive Communities Project wholeheartedly supports this goal, and that is exactly why we support this project. This proposed development is located in a census tract with a poverty rate of 1.66% and a minority concentration well below HUD standard. It is also in proximity to public transit, retail, healthcare, and employment opportunities. You've been asked to support a number of LIHTC projects this year, and I'm sure all of them are really good projects and worthy of your support, but no other project is located in an area with such a low poverty rate. And I'm here tonight because affordable housing in low poverty areas is usually very strongly opposed by any homeowner within a 5 to 10 mile radius. And it seems to be the one thing that brings every neighborhood together. But I am urging you to muster that holy courage spoken of in the invocation and not to succumb to any NIMBY. Support of this project will not only help you meet your objectives as stated in your AI, but it will also fill the 19,230 unit affordable housing gap identified in your consolidated plan. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you.
David Rodriguez, followed by Mac McCurry.
Good evening. I'd like to speak in support of the city council pay raise. Again, I'll echo much of the same rhetoric as a lot of people up here have already stated, especially considering the fact that the Tarrant County Commissioners Court got to reduce their workload a whole another time again, and they still get paid their $200,000. And at least y'all made the decision a month ago to bring back those public comments. So I do appreciate that. I also disagree with Jay Chapa being able to hire, fire, create, dissolve organizations at will. The American dream, or the American idea of democracy, was supposed to be a government for the people, by the people, and unfortunately, over the past year, it seems that in Tarrant County and in Fort Worth, and especially at the federal level, that it's starting to become a government for the few by one powerful person. So, and again, go ahead and echo statements as far as public housing or having more affordable housing, despite the fact that I am privileged enough to be a homeowner. My line of work does require me to interact a lot with people who just don't have that privilege. And again, the same ideas that have been ran as far as the big platforms of populism, right? It's supposed to be lowering groceries, lowering the cost of housing, increasing the wages, trying to make everything better. And there hasn't been any tangible change, at least from the federal level that I've seen. So I think, especially here on the city level, if y'all can approve this and start making changes towards actually bettering the lives of your citizens, as every single person states, as why do you want to run for city council? Why do you think you should be city council? Everyone says, I want to serve the people, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, here's a tangible step that y'all can support and take to show the people that you actually have actions and not words. Thank you for your time.
Mac McCurry will be followed by Andrew Torrey.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Mac McCurry, and I'm here as a registered citizen. I'm also speaking for Texas Voices. We're an organization that gives a voice to registered citizens. I'm here to speak against the residency restrictions. There are quite a few talking points that I can cite on this. Mr. Braun brought some of those up that were very succinct. I first met Mr. Braun 23 years ago when I was a client of his. Their organization does great work with persons that are on the registry. So one of his citations that he mentioned was that the risk of high recidivism rate, that is just completely false. And he spoke to that, and there are numerous studies that can dispute any facts that y'all may have come to. Just recently, the other speaker mentioned affordable housing, and that is one thing that that everybody suffers and strides to get. The NIMBY that's not in my backyard, that is exactly what this is about. Is, you know, we do not want somebody on the registry living on our street or in our neighborhood. The fact is that in Texas, there are almost 100,000 persons on the registry. The city of Fort Worth, I'm not sure exactly how many of the registered citizens are, but when a registered person needs to reside in an area, oftentimes the opportunities are just not there. If a registered person is already living, and according to the verbiage in this ordinance as it's proposed, that person will be grandfathered in. Well, not only is it that person, but their family as well. There's a family behind every registered person. So if that person needs to move, they would not be able to move, given that this ordinance, and 1,500 feet. So 1501 is okay. So you can see that just if you draw circles and bubbles, that, you know, what does that do? So thank you for your time, and I hope that y'all think about this ordinance. Good night.
Andrew Turi, followed by Mindy Tackett.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Torrey, and I'm a proud resident of Council District 5. I'm here this evening to speak on two of the proposed charter amendments to the City Council, Proposition G and Proposition M. The amendment that I am most enthusiastic about is Proposition G, as I strongly believe elected officials from the local level to the federal level deserve a livable salary for the job they are elected to do. Being an elected official is a full-time job, and that job should not be limited to those who are independently wealthy. True representation comes only when people from all backgrounds have an equal opportunity to hold positions of power. At a time when the mayor of Dallas and the Dallas City Council members are earning $80,000 and $60,000 respectively, we should not have to live in a city in which working or middle-class citizens have to consider whether they can secure a second job before running for elected office. I would actually like to see this proposition go further and have the base salary indexed to inflation. That way the salary keeps up with the cost of living. I believe we should do that for the minimum wage, and it should be done in this case as well. And I support amending the language of Proposition G to include an index to inflation. Now, regarding Proposition M, although I can understand the argument for allowing for more control and decision-making over departments the city manager oversees, I believe the city manager needs to have a check on power the position wields. Our democracy functions on a system of checks and balances, and Proposition M would give too much power to one unelected official. We've all witnessed the damage done when an executive branch of our government decides to eliminate government departments it doesn't like, such as the Department of Education, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or USAID. I don't believe it's wise to give the voters of the city an opportunity to allow something similar to happen in the city of Fort Worth. So with, I urge this council to reject this proposition and remove it from the proposal. So with that said, and in conclusion, I support this council bringing Proposition G to a vote before the citizens of this city, but I hope you will leave Proposition M behind. Thank you.
Mindy Tackett, followed by Chris Tackett.
Good evening. 20 years ago, Fort Worth decided $25,000 when it was enough to pay a city council member. Today, That's not a salary, it's a barrier. Our council members serve nearly 1 million residents, and for this full-time job, we pay them poverty rate wages. Let me put this into perspective. Dallas pays their council $60,000 a year. Austin pays $83,000, and Phoenix just approved $77,000. But Fort Worth, we're dead last among Texas major cities. The 5th largest city in Texas, one of the fastest growing in America, and we are paying our leaders less than a living wage. And that's the heart of the issue, is consistency. If we believe in living wages for our residents, we cannot exempt the people leading that charge. We cannot champion economic justice while practicing economic hypocrisy. This isn't about rewarding politicians, it's about removing barriers to public service. Right now, only people who don't need the money can afford to serve. We're excluding teachers, nurses, small business owners, and working parents from leadership because they cannot work full-time for part-time pay. We're telling working class Fort Worth, your voice matters, but only if you're wealthy enough to serve basically for free. I hope the May ballot measure passes, but even as I support it, there are still questions that need to be addressed. Is $50,000 for council members and $60,000 for the mayor the right number? And perhaps more importantly, what's the right way to calculate and approve future pay increases? One thing is clear, this authority shouldn't rest in the hands of the city manager. We need a better mechanism, one with proper accountability and checks and balances. In addition to that, I just want to echo what's been said tonight about affordable housing. I hope that all of you might take Ann up on what she offered to sit down and go over the proposal that was put forth several years ago. If we're going to be a world-class city, we need to make sure people can afford to live in our world-class city. Thank you very much.
Chris Tackett, followed by Adrian Smith.
So Fort Worth, whoa, wow, that was a lot. Let me move that back. Fort Worth, it's the 11th largest city in America, over 1 million residents and a multi-billion-dollar budget and responsibilities and oversight that rival Fortune 500 companies and boards. Yet we pay our council members a poverty level wage while expecting full-time hours. The result, only the people who have the means can afford to serve. Those who best understand our communities simply cannot take a massive pay cut to represent us. The current proposal is an improvement, but it's only a partial solution. We should be tying compensation to what Fort Worth families actually earn. We've got the HUD area median income that's updated every year by the government. We should be indexing council pay to that. I would put forth that council members should be at 70% of that HUD area median income. The mayor should be at 80%. What does that translate to in real dollars? For council members, that would be $75,000 a year. For the mayor, it would be $85,000. By creating that linkage, we don't have to have this dialogue every year. It indexes every time that updates. And that's so important because, look, if Fort Worth families do better, the council does better. If Fort Worth families are struggling, you'll all struggle too. That makes sense. And this proposal isn't about making anybody rich. It is about making council accessible. So a middle-class resident can serve without choosing between their mortgage and representing their neighbors. That's essential. But better pay is really only half of the equation we should be talking about. What good is accessibility in elections if they're only winnable by those who can raise 6 figures from their wealthy donors? We should have campaign finance contribution limits. When a single developer can write a check that drowns out thousands of small donors, it's not democracy, that's an auction. We need something along the lines of a $500 per person per election limit for council races, $1,000 for the mayor's race. So a teacher who gives $25 has the same voice as a developer today who's writing checks for $25,000. The reforms should be linked. This should be something, campaign finance could go in place immediately, but raises for council, you should never vote yourself a raise. Those should not go into effect until after the next election. That way we are giving everyone the chance to serve. And it's this next generation of leaders taking over. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Adrian Smith, followed by Stephen Bryant.
Adrian Smith, District 6. I am one with the people. For the individuals who have handouts, page 8 of 11, 8 of 14, item 1 is what I'm speaking to. The city of Fort Worth once again seeks to change an ordinance in the name of what's best for the city. This, however, is far from the truth, given past ordinance changes that were established to marginalize even further groups or individuals who some within our city feel don't have a place. I'm for protecting our most vulnerable within society at all costs, but I'm not for doing it at the expense of someone's personal bias, political posturing, or ideal of self-importance. A simple Google search provides all the information necessary regarding sexual offenders which reside within our city limits, something that's required of the individuals who identify as such. The database, which is maintained by the Fort Worth Police Department, is precise and very easy to navigate. You can search for an offender's information by area, name, city, and those considered non-compliant. Fort Worth has 2,590 individuals listed in its database, with 2 shown as non-compliant. One who is currently incarcerated in the Titus County Jail, the other individual listed as absconded. The individuals listed include both sexes, various ages, and offenders levels from low to high. My question to the mayor and city council is simply, did you really think this out before considering further restricting individuals from having a place within society? Hopefully, we will hear from every individual on the dais as to why or why not they support this ordinance change. This is about individuals' livelihoods being affected, regardless of if you feel some type of way regarding their past decision-making. And we know the strongest voice on this particular ordinance change was you, Mr. Lorsdorf. So I ask you, sir, because you all, for the people who don't know, one simple vote, all of this gets passed. So how about we pull this, Mr. Lorsdorf, and let's hear from each of you regarding why you feel this ordinance should be changed. You have the power to do it. All it requires is you to bring it up, somebody to agree with you, and we can hear from each of you. I think that's being considerate.
Stephen Bryant, followed by Scott Johnston.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Stephen Bryant. I didn't write notes this time, so wish me luck. So I want to echo everything that's been said about the Proposition G. I do also believe that you guys deserve a living wage. I think that something that hasn't been touched on yet is people aren't really in, I would say, the right mind doing their job if in the back of their head they're thinking about, is my kid going to be able to, am I going to pay that doctor's bill? Am I going to be able to put food on the table? Am I going to be able to afford rent or my mortgage or that kind of stuff? As someone who's representing your district and the city, I would very much love to see that you don't have to think about that kind of stuff and you can just hone in, lock in on everything you need to do for the city. Also, something that I haven't seen brought up yet is the Proposition J with the annual budget. The only thing that's been that has a strike through on it is it says the budget shall not be adopted in the same meeting as the public hearing. Now, the sentence prior to that says public hearings on the manager's proposed budget shall be held and notice of such hearings shall be provided in accordance with applicable state law. However, no less than one public hearing shall be held on the budget following notice of such hearing. So when I saw that that was struck through, I was like genuinely curious. Does that mean you guys are able to bring up in a public hearing and just say, hey, this is the budget, and then vote on it right away? If so, I think that's like, no. I would prefer if we get some, feedback. Thank you. Also, when it comes to the city attorney talking about what to put on the ballot for the propositions, I know it was recommended to have kind of like a 1 or 2 sentence kind of thing, but I actually want to echo what y'all were saying in the work session. There is a lot of government distrust, obviously, with everything going on. And so I would take this opportunity and challenge you guys to, maybe have that page that says, hey, this is originally what it says. Like, for example, like right here, amendment number 4, Proposition J. Like I can read the whole thing. It's one paragraph, and I can see clearly where it's been striked through, what the original text before it says, and then what's underlined of what you guys put in. So I don't know. I'd say take a chance on it and see if it doesn't work, then just don't do it again. Thanks, guys.
Our next speaker is Scott Johnston, followed by Anitra Blayton.
Mayor and Council, my name is Scott Johnston. I am the former director of New Name Ministries. We operated a facility that provided stable housing, structure and accountability, and proximity to support for offenders coming out of prison. We offered this for 20 years here in Fort Worth. We were shut down because of back up. New Name Ministries is not shut down because of crime and violence or misconduct. We were shut down because of zoning interpretations, administrative changes, and misclassifications. The residents who lived in Fort Worth, because of these zoning interpretations, they were working and attending church and receiving treatment and following their supervised plans, and they were displaced because they were not afforded an opportunity to continue living in those homes. They posed a risk because the system changed the rules on them. Some of these men ended up homeless. Some of them had their supervision disrupted. Others lost their jobs, and that was work that was hard to secure. Every one of them experienced deep fear and confusion because they had done what they were asked to do, but it wasn't enough. Residency restrictions sound like a safety measure. They're not. On the ground, they destroy the very stability that keeps communities safe. When men lose housing, men and women, they don't disappear. They become harder to monitor. Every parole officer in this city can tell you that. I'm not here to oppose the council or any department. I'm here because I've witnessed the impact of human impact these decisions can make for the men and women that are registrants. I've watched productive, compliant residents re-enter crisis stages because of a zoning letter. If Fort Worth wants safety, real safety, it must choose strategies that work. Residency restrictions do not work. They have failed everywhere they've been tried, and they have already failed here. I ask that you please review the evidence and review it well. Consider the people that are involved and make a decision informed by what actually protects the community. Thank you.
Anitra Blayton, followed by Wesley Kirk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, men and women. How are you? I am a public artist. and I've been a public artist for about 30 years now. I'm here in support of fully funding and maintaining the funding of the public art component of the bond package. And that's 1% of streets and all other propositions at 2%. I just want to say that we have a lot in common with Palladium and those other individuals who believe in quality. What we do is all about quality and social impact. I myself have done several projects, including Dallas-Fort Worth Airport, Lake Como Master Plan, and just recently Alliance Park in near Roanoke. What my process is about is bringing the value, and I think all of my partners about bringing the value to Fort Worth, economically, socially, and culturally. And like Gina wants to do, she's always about bringing culture to Stop 6, and I was always there to oblige. My last project involved bringing several communities together and having them reach in and have a dialogue, which they would not otherwise do. And in that particular case, I would say that public art does help to humanize, it helps to energize, and I should say it is also accessible to everyone. So I hope that you will continue to fund us. Thank you.
Wesley Kirk will be followed by Jamie Perkins.
Got a lot of bullet points. Let's see how far I get. During a recent work session when y'all discussed possibly reducing public art, I want to thank all of the council members who spoke up in favor of public art and why it's so essential to the city. And I echo everything that was just said. I also understand the frustrations that some council members have about public art, and I want to stress that a lot of that problem comes from the way the state law is written, where it ties our hands. Charles Lauersdorf and I had this conversation about where it can go, what it can be made of, how long it lasts. And one thing that I would hope that y'all would see is that we have a potential, if we invested in public art in more ways than just the bond, that doesn't tie the public art, Fort Worth Public Art's hands in how that money can be used. And then we can start to see more of the results that we really want to see. So thank you for being art advocates, and I hope more of you will speak up in favor of that. I also want to thank Elizabeth Beck for first proposing affordable housing on the bond, and all the council members who helped increase that number. But it's also a drop in the bucket compared to what the city needs and what other cities are doing. Denton is 1/6 of our size, and they have a $15 million bond for affordable housing. And I hope that in the future, we always look at affordable housing at the very beginning of the bond process and understand how crucial it is for the citizens of Fort Worth. I also want to talk about city council pay. I believe you should be paid a full-time wage to do what should be a full-time job. You shouldn't have to have multiple jobs just to survive. You shouldn't have to risk losing your house or the safety of your family to your livelihood of your family to do this job. We shouldn't introduce conflicts of interest for multiple jobs. My proposal is that we should tie city council pay to the average city staff pay. I think that's a number that should be very easy to figure out. It has cost of living increases built into it. It's literally impossible to manipulate that number without benefiting all of the employees of the city of Fort Worth. And in regard to the power of the city manager to create and abolish departments without a say from the council, I mean, just imagine getting rid of the diversity and inclusion department without a council say. I know that we can trust Jay Chapa to not abuse that, but we should be setting the rules and the laws in preparation for a bad faith actor. If we have someone come along who doesn't follow the trust of the council, we need to be prepared to not let them make things worse. And also, it's another tool in your tool belt. I mean, if we go through with this, then the only way y'all can do to stop a city manager going rogue is to fire them. And there should be more tools in your tool belt, and that's why I think the council being able to make those decisions is crucial. And I also want to talk about the city council budget. It should be a separate meeting from when the public first hears those final numbers, so that the public's input can meaningfully affect what those final numbers are before the vote. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jamie Perkins, followed by Claudia Avila.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jaime, and I'm here tonight to speak in favor of the 2026 bond and to urge you to be bolder with it, and also to speak against the proposed charter amendments as currently written. I support the bond because Fort Worth needs serious investment. This is the 11th largest city in the country, yet it continues to fall behind when it comes to meeting basic needs. A bond of this size should reflect the scale of the challenges being faced, most especially housing. I strongly support including affordable housing in this bond, but it cannot be a symbolic line item. Fort Worth's housing crisis is not theoretical. It's pushing working families, teachers, city employees, and service workers further and further from the communities they serve. If you are asking voters to approve an $800 million plus bond, affordable housing must be treated as a central priority, not an afterthought. The same is true for arts funding. The arts are not a luxury. They are a part of what makes a city livable and economically resilient. Cities that invest in culture attract talent, tourism, and long-term growth. Please invest more into these crucial areas. These investments belong in the core of the bond because they are core to its city's future. So yes, pass the bond, but strengthen it. Be ambitious, match the scale of the investment to the scale of the need. Turning to the charter amendments, I am opposed to them as written. I support raising city council pay. Public service should not be limited to people who can afford to take a financial hit. If we want representation that reflects working people, compensation matters. It should be done structurally, responsibly, and following some of the advice of previous speakers. However, that positive change is outweighed by the proposal that concentrate too much power in the city manager's office, allowing one office to abolish departments, remove directors, or approve major contracts without meaningful council oversight reduces accountability. Weakening public hearings and reducing transparency around essential services does not strengthen government. It weakens public trust. I urge you to strengthen the bond by prioritizing housing and the arts, and to reject these charter amendments in favor of proposals that expand accountability rather than consolidate power. Thanks.
Claudia Avila, followed by David Martinez. Is Claudia present? David Martinez, followed by Alexander Montalvo.
Good evening. I didn't know I was going to speak with the opposition of this size for against the ordinance to expand distance to protect children. It's amazing. I can't even speak about other things because this is the most important thing, because as we grow, what city are we going to go? Are we going to be a sanctuary city for pedophiles? Is that the city that y'all want? Because that's not the city I want. You know, I have grandchildren on the way, and I don't want them to be raised in a city that promotes this and says, oh, we need to respect their boundaries. No, what about our boundaries? What about our boundaries that says, no, you won't go after our children. You won't go after our women. And this is not just happening to little girls. In Carter Park, there's boys out there too getting taken advantage of. You know, if you want to fight this, you can go over there to Carter Park and go to those motels. I'm gonna tell you something. It disgusts me that some of you even have the guts to come up here and stand with them. You know, that's why I don't march with some of y'all, because some of y'all march with the crazies that go over here and say, oh, you know, they have rights too, and they're no, that's sick. That's sick. We know who they are, and they're gonna start a church. And you're gonna hide behind God and say, oh, we're a church. We're forgiven. You know, I confess my sins. I'm a pedophile. Whoa, I'm gonna be like that. So now I'm gonna get money and I'm gonna be tax exempt because you're a sex offender. That makes you superior to us now? Because you go hide behind God, you want to confess your sins, and all of a sudden it's all forgiven. And you can come and move in, and you can be in my backyard, and you can do all that stuff. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. Remember, some of y'all said, we're on stolen land. Well, guess what? I'm a Native American. And I'm gonna tell you something. what the Apache do to people that hurt our women and children, we kill them. So I'm gonna tell you that right now. So y'all don't want that conversation. But here's the thing, I want to tell you something. It is, I didn't know there was gonna be so many of y'all. And when you see here, you clapping like y'all some righteous, is oh, we're here for the people. That's no. I've been fighting against this for so long. And we're gonna use this as a tool. That's why Sheriff Wayburn is gonna use AI to track down these pedophiles and these sex offenders. We're gonna use AI technology, and we'll be able to find you. So it's no longer, you talk to any CPS worker and you ask them what they deal with and why they get burnt out. And then they had to come over here and then deal with this and see people cheering this on. It's sick. Some of you need help. Really, some of y'all really need to get help, because that's bizarre that you're up here applauding that for sex offenders.
Alexander Montalvo.
All right, I'm here to talk about the charter amendment for raising the pay for city council. I definitely support raising the pay for city council, but I don't think y'all should be getting the raise. I think the raise should be for the folks who are elected after the 2027 election, and that's who y'all should make this raise for. And if y'all earn y'all seat back, then fantastic, you get a raise with it too. But clearly, since the 2025 election, y'all have made a mess of so many things in this city. So that does not warrant a raise for this current city council. Now, how we maintain those raises are going to be really important. And I agree with what Chris's proposal was. I think we need to tie it so that we're not voting on this every time. The reason it failed last time is because y'all wanted to have the power to be able to give yourself future raises. If that pops up again, it's going to kill this amendment. So hopefully that's not going to get sneaked into this particular charter amendment. But we do need better talent that are leading our city, because what we have been seeing, I mean, we had Kerry Moon with his, DWI. We've got Michael Crane just having his. We need people who are going to be responsible, who live out their lives day in and day out, doing good work, are the best of us, but can also afford to be in city council. We don't need privileged people who live a different kind of lifestyle that the everyday working family has no idea what that lifestyle is in Aspen or whatever Michael Crane does with all the money that he uses taxpayer dollars for. And I was worried when I saw his seat was empty. I was like, oh no, what happened again this time? But I'm glad he's on Zoom. But I think the quicker he resigns, the better for all of us. So we need leaders who live in Fort Worth and who are a part of our community that can actually get this job done for the people. And our current setup is not giving us the best talent, clearly. So the other thing I want to speak to is the power grab that Jay Chapa, that you're after with these amendments. See, here's why I have a big problem with this, is because the Latino community has a couple problems right now with representation. One, we are underrepresented with people in power in the city of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, but we also have misrepresentation, meaning the folks who are brown and Latino aren't doing anything for our community. So for you to then not go through a hiring process, to now want this power to get rid of departments all on your own is not something I trust, because the Fort Worth Way establishment that you have been connected to is not something that's for our community. So we got to do better than that, and we need to keep you in check. And we need new Latino leadership, because this isn't cutting it.
Council, that's the conclusion of our speakers. We can move to changes in memberships on boards and commissions. I believe our first is 25-5768. Councilmember Crane.
Yes, Mayor, let me.
We could hear you and now we can't. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Here it is. Okay, ready? Request for consideration to appoint the following individual to the board below with a partial term effective February 10th, 2026 and ending October 1st, 2027. Allison Fitzgerald, partial term, Community Development Council.
Got a motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Please vote.
Mayor, who made the second?
Councilmember Nettles. Motion carries. Councilmember Blaylock, 265769.
Mayor and council, I request your consideration to appoint the following individual to the board below with a partial term effective February 10th, 2026, and ending October 1st, 2026. Laura Kelly, the City Plan Commission.
Got a motion and a second by Councilmember Beck. Council, please vote.
Laura, thank you for volunteering.
Motion carries.
Next is Resolution 26-5764.
Entertain a motion, Councilmember Martinez.
Just I want to say again, thank you to staff for working on this resolution. I motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second, council. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is 26-5781.
Got a motion and a second, council. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is 26-5721.
Councilmember Larsdorf, but I believe Councilmember Beck also had, let me let Councilmember Beck go first.
I appreciate some of the comments that we got today on this particular ordinance. I think it's one that is incredibly important to our city, and let me be clear, it's one that I support. But there was a point that was raised this evening that gives me pause for concern, and that is the ability to have the legal requirement to have an exception so that the ordinance will withstand any potential lawsuit. And so it is, the lawyer and me would like to see us continue this particular item until we can have legal fully vet it. But I want to be clear to those in the room that came to speak against this ordinance. This is not a crack in the door. You don't have an ally in defeating this particular ordinance here. It's simply me wanting to make sure that we're doing our job to protect our city and to protect our residents. And so with that, I'm going to move to continue this until the next council meeting.
Got a motion to continue. Councilmember Larsdorf.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Mayor. To Councilwoman Beck's point, though, just I guess a question for City Attorney. If we did go ahead and vote on it tonight, and we didn't make any legal changes to the or to the language, would we be able to do that?
Yeah, you could always come back. Can you hear me? You could always come back and amend it. Of course, our preference would be to make sure that we have the legalities squared away from the beginning. I believe we do, but I want to make sure that we've answered all the questions. And of course, I can't provide legal advice on the dais.
Correct. Okay. So can I go ahead and make my motion then?
I've got, actually, first I've got a motion on the floor. I think I did have a second by Councilmember Hall. So at this point, we got to vote on this motion first, and then if it doesn't pass, then you can make another motion. Do I have that right? Yeah. Yes, okay. So I've got a motion on the floor from Councilmember Beck, and then I've got a second from Councilmember Hall. Which one is it? Okay, then you can make a substitute motion.
Okay, I would like to make a substitute motion to go ahead and move to approve this ordinance with the following change. Increase the minimum distance that sex offenders may reside from 1,500 feet to 2,000 feet from where children commonly gather.
Okay, we've got a substitute motion on the floor. Do I have a second? I have no second, so the substitute motion fails. So I'm back to the original motion Councilmember Beck made to continue this item to make a few constitutional changes that were raised tonight. I've got a second on the floor, Councilmember Hall. Any other discussion, Council?
Mayor.
Yes, Councilmember Martinez and then Councilmember Beck.
So I just.
Sorry, I'm going to turn you off. There you go.
Oh, no, you're, okay. When we bring it back, I'd like you to bring it back with Councilman Larsdorf's amendment that it's at the 2,000 feet instead of the 1,500.
Okay. Councilor Martinez asked how long we're going to continue the item. Is there a
believe for the
preference from
next-
legal?
The next meeting, right?
Okay, so 2 weeks from now. Okay. I've got a motion on the floor. Any other discussion before we vote? Okay, council, please vote. Motion to continue carries.
Next is 26-5765.
I've got a motion on the floor and a second. Before we vote, I just want to make a really important clarifying remark that last session, the Texas legislature added a requirement that every city bond proposition begin with an all-cap statement as follows that will state, "This is a tax increase." It is very important to voters and to those in this room tonight here to know that the City of Fort Worth has designed its bond program to work within the existing tax rate and without any tax increase in the tax rate projected to be needed now or in the future to repay these bonds if the voters approve them in May. So while we cannot change ballot proposition language that the state has authorized, we can assure our taxpayers and our voters that voting for the bond in May in Fort Worth will mean no tax increase in the city of Fort Worth. So we apologize for any confusion caused. We did not cause it. With that, I do have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Nettles.
We are voting for the charter election and the proposition on this one.
The charter's the second vote. It's actually 5766.
Okay, so on the proposition, I just want to give, can we articulate the proposition point of M?
On the charter, can we do that in the next
the
item?
next one?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
So we'll vote on the bond first. Is
Let
there
me
any-
say something about the bond. I really appreciate that we was able to get to 10 million for the housing bond, and I look forward to the next opportunity that we can add more to the housing bond, and appreciate the opportunity to keep arts intact as well. Thank you.
Any other discussion by council? If not, I've got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next will be 26-5766.
Councilmember Nettles, I'll turn to you first if you had some questions for staff.
Yes. So as it relates to the charter election, I wanted to address a couple of concerns that some of the residents made about the index pay, which I also support. I do want to tell people we did try that a few years back and it did not pass. I think because of explaining our information to the community. And so I think we're at a good spot now and we can revisit this at a later time to increase, because I do believe that this should be a pay where someone know how to make two jobs and in order to be representation. I do want to ask legal to address some of the issues with M. I think the way it was articulated, as well as the way the Fort Worth report reported on it, is kind of has made it confusing to what we're actually voting on. And if we can just kind of explain that piece of addressing issue M and some of the other ones, because I think city attorney, if you can correct me, these are cleanup items that we're trying to do to support our charter. And it's not necessarily giving the city manager free will to do whatever he wants to do.
Yes, that's right. So with Proposition M, that one is, so you may recall when Gavin did his presentation, there are 6 departments that are mandated by the charter. Those would not be changed. So that includes police, fire, finance, public works, public health, and water. So those would always stay in place. This is just really aligning the charter with the power and the authority that the city manager already has over personnel. We have had multiple times over the years where things get moved around, departments get renamed, and those are really administrative functions that end up having to come to council. And so, again, this is a cleanup item that we feel would not be expanding any power, and it would just be aligning that with the authority that the city manager already has. Did you want me to speak to any other propositions as well?
J.
J is, and that's the department head?
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah, so basically, we're just making sure that all of the top city jobs are treated the same and basically keeping things simple by not having extra hearings. The city manager already has the ability to, again, the same thing, has the authority and the responsibility in the charter to manage personnel. The hearing, an extra hearing in front of council doesn't provide due process. It really just creates a no-win situation because the council is not allowed, also by charter, to interfere with the city manager's personnel actions. Now, I will say, obviously, they employ the city manager, and if they're not happy with the decisions that he makes, they can deal with it in that manner. But council interference with his employees is prohibited. It also, of course, and I mentioned this in work session before, it creates issues for us in litigation. It creates confusion. We have had this happen in the past. And this is an item that we believe, again, is not expanding any powers, but rather aligning what's in there with the authority and the power that the city manager already has.
Thank you for the explanation. I see the Star Telegram is here. I'm not sure if the Forward Report is here, but we really want to make sure the information is accurate when it's put out, because when it's not, it gives the assumption that we're doing something to empower the city manager. I would never vote to empower any one person over this council. The second thing I'll add about the proposition, they are all single votes. So you can literally vote for one proposition, not vote for the next. And so it's important that you understand what those propositions actually are. So thank you for the explanation tonight, Leanne.
Any other questions for Leanne or staff regarding the charter election? No? And I think an important note, I know the city manager's office will be working with each council district as well on additional communication education for the community over the course of the next several months.
Move for approval.
Motion and a second, council. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 26-0078.
We have a few speakers on this item. Councilmember Nettles, our first is Harrison Smith, followed by Preston Pittman.
Mayor, I think city staff was going to present
Yep, Cody Wittenberg is available.
Good evening, Cody Wittenberg, Environmental Services Director. Before we move into speaker comments, I just have a statement I need to read into the record for TCEQ process, and then I'll have a few slides just to offer a little more context. So the purpose of today's public hearing is to receive comments on establishing a municipal setting designation MSD 035A South Freeway located at 5921 and 5933 South Freeway, Fort Worth, Texas 76134 in Council District 8. The proposed property consists of approximately 57.5 acres and is owned by Bear Holdings LLC. Property is currently zoned I Light Industrial. The subject property was historically used for dumping of iron slag, foundry sand, and bag dust, which are believed to have contributed to the groundwater impacts. The heavy metals identified in the groundwater are arsenic, lead, and manganese. The groundwater is shallow, perched, and discontinuous, occurring at a depth of approximately 14 feet below the ground surface. A public meeting was held on January 8th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at the Highland Hills Community Center in Fort Worth. In advance of the public meeting and today's public hearing, written notice was sent to property owners and municipalities within 1/2 mile of the MSD boundary and to owners and public water supply utilities with groundwater supply wells within 5 miles of the proposed MSD boundary. Just a few slides to offer you a little more context on this particular proposal. So a municipal setting designation, some might call that an MSD, but a municipal setting designation really is a deed restriction for the use of groundwater. It prohibits the use of groundwater for drinking water, potable water type uses. It also allows redevelopment without the full burden of cost for a full groundwater cleanup, provides regulatory oversight through state-approved process. Again, this is a state process. The Texas Commission on Environmental Quality governs this particular program, and we are one step in that process. So in order for any community or any development to move forward with an MSD, it first has to go to the local government for a resolution in support of that. At that time, then the developer takes that resolution, if approved, and completes their application with the TCEQ for TCEQ to make those evaluations. It also supports economic development, so sort of like a tool to continue to provide environmental oversight and to keep communities moving forward. To date, the city of Fort Worth has approved about 34, or not about, actually 34 of these, and here you can see that it is laid out throughout the city just with this particular map, much of it around the Central City project as well. Whenever we were able to move forward with that public meeting a couple of weeks ago and a few weeks ago, and also a meeting with the community last week, we did hear several of the concerns that the community has brought forward nearby in the Highland Hills area. Historic misuse and dumping of the property, a desire for non-industrial use, and really a preference for a grocery store or a residential use, some other use besides industrial, a lack of trust for just past site conditions, and really wanting to keep the property clean, concern for the construction phase of the project if it moves forward. So with dust and active construction site moving around, the environmental and health concerns related to that, and then just really another need or conversation around public amenities such as the Highland Hills Community Center and others. And we were able to try to come up with some ways to move this forward cohesively, working to, again, moving into the TCQ, making sure that we have oversight. So we as city staff have contracted with Freese and Nichols, a local engineering firm, to help provide some added support and oversight. We also want to point out that there is an opportunity to donate 14 acres adjacent to create maybe a buffer zone between the residential community and this industrial development. We also want to just point out that we have through Freese and Nichols, we have the ability to really lean into some active confirmation testing and some oversight throughout the construction of the project if it moves forward, really looking into those dust controls, making sure that stormwater regulations are followed, and then also really looking at all of those areas within this facility that have some sort of contamination to make sure that anything that the TCQ comes up with as a part of a cleanup plan is adhered and followed to carefully. Just want to point out another thing is that the zone, this is not a zoning action. The zoning is already consistent with the industrial use, and the project can move forward with or without an MSD. Again, the MSD is just controlling the use of groundwater at this particular site. If the MSD is not approved on the right side, then the developer will still have to continue with the TCEQ's voluntary cleanup program, develop a cleanup action plan with those groundwater controls in place, and to move that forward. If the MSD is approved, again, they still have to maintain the voluntary cleanup program components, but those pathways for groundwater ingestion go away. And the developers also offered some other components. Again, the donation of 14 acres in a few months, working with the city to allow this independent testing to move forward, working to make sure that all of the site mitigations that the TCQ will come up with the developer and their agents are followed, and allowing us as the city staff or our agents, Freese and Nichols, to independently monitor that. And then really with that green space donation, potentially find some additional opportunities to leverage some funds throughout the development process. In closing with the independent testing, I just want to echo that again. There are kind of 3 phases to construction sites: before construction, during construction, and after construction. And again, working with Freese and Nichols to really build that trust and that independent voice of oversight. We would really propose that the Freese and Nichols company really does a deep dive into all the MSD documents and any cleanup action plan that TCQ develops. Then during construction, again, that third-party independent oversight would be offered to ensure adherence to any cleanup plans, and assuring that there's no disturbance of the clay line pits moving forward. And then after construction, even once the facility was constructed and moving forward, we would still want independent confirmation testing for a couple of years. Just to kind of show you some of those other opportunity areas that we see, here you can see much of the Highland Hills neighborhood in yellow. That is that A5 residential zoning. And then the purple color is that light industrial zoning. And you can see that the community has a lot of industrial zoning that's active. But again, this item does not change the zoning of this particular case. I would also point out there's the yellow corridor along the right side of the property is that area that would create that buffer zone between the MSD property and the residential neighborhood. So with that, just a quick oversight of what that could look like. Here you can see this green space, which is potentially has the opportunity to be donated, about 460 feet. Another 1,000 feet from the back of the property is proposed by the developer's site plan. And just to show you a rendering of what this warehouse could look like, you can see that on the right side would be the buffer zone for the neighborhood. So in closing, we have tonight's public hearing, and then we will work to continue conversations with the developer and the community based on the outcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wittenberg. Any other questions, Councilmember Nettles, for Cody this time?
Yeah, I just have one question. I don't know if it was on the slide, but the other destination, the other MSDs that's in the city of Fort Worth.
Yeah, absolutely. If we would bring these.
It was, did I miss it?
So here you can just see the map of the city and the centralized area, that large blue color, that is really much of the central city. And then you can see most of the other blue polygons or property boundaries throughout. And this particular property is on the south part of 35 there at Loop 820 and highlighted in yellow and circled in yellow.
Just off the top, can you tell us what are some of those areas? I think one of them is the Trinity River.
Absolutely. So the Panther Island Trinity River area is largely included in that, and we have an entire list that we can provide to everyone. Absolutely.
Thank you, Cody. Our first speaker is Harrison Smith, followed by Preston Pittman.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Harrison Smith, and I'm here on behalf of Bear Holdings, the applicant. Before I begin, I just want to join you guys in honoring Councilmember Gina Bivens. Her long service and dedication to the city leaves a legacy that won't be forgotten. And so our thoughts and prayers are with her family and all of you who have had the privilege to serve alongside her. On behalf of Bear Holdings, I want to thank city staff for their work on this project. And I especially want to thank the residents who have engaged with us over the last several months. Those conversations, sometimes supportive and sometimes challenging, have directly shaped the steps that we have taken. Tonight, instead of focusing on the details of the MSD, which the city staff has already covered, thank you, Cody, I want to talk about something a little bit more personal. Bear's commitment to being a good neighbor and what we've done to demonstrate that commitment. I want to acknowledge that this property has been a source of frustration for the residents for a long time. They've had to deal with illegal dumping, debris, trespassers, dust, and just a general sense that the land wasn't being responsibly managed. We have heard that clearly, and we understand the hesitation and where the mistrust may come from. But we want you to know that the team controlling this land is going to take care of it, care for the community around it, and follow through on what it said. That's our commitment. And over the last several months, we've tried to show these through concrete actions. After engaging with the community about the property, we began clearing debris, removing dump materials, and putting measures in place to deter unauthorized access, even on property that wasn't under our responsibility. As recent as yesterday, I was out on the property with Bear cleaning and securing the site. And I promise you, no one was more surprised to see an attorney out there actually doing physical labor than me, myself. But we know that past misuse wasn't Bear's cause or the neighbor's responsibility, and we are committed to maintaining the site to mitigate the impact on the neighborhood. The community asked for reassurance that the land is being handled safely, and in response, we've completed extensive additional testing, including 25 additional samples since the last meeting. We've worked directly with the city and TCEQ to ensure that every data point is reviewed and verified. And moving forward, again, as Cody mentioned, we have the third-party inspectors. We want the neighborhood to have confidence in not just our words, but the oversight behind our actions, including a soil management plan that addresses some of the issues and details. One of the clearest messages from the residents was the desire for the buffer, which you've shown. And so in direct feedback to that, we've engaged the city with the 14 acres on the east side. It's not required. It's not something we're compelled to do. It's just something that we've chosen to do, and we think that's right. We'll continue to listen and be the kind of landowner people want to have next door. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Preston Pittman, followed by Jerome Johnson.
Mayor, Preston's going to yield his time.
Thank you. Jerome Johnson, followed by Letitia Wilburn.
Mayor Parker, Councilman Nettles, and the other council members, good evening. My name is Jerome Johnson, president of the Highland Hills Neighborhood Association. And when I originally bought this t-shirt back in 2020, it was to represent my frustration with the murder of George Floyd. But tonight I'm wearing this t-shirt because this is our community statement. I can't breathe. We can't breathe. We're surrounded by pollution, noise, and traffic. So we're against this MSD simply because we're against anything that's connected to industrial development. Our community is in a crisis. related to our health, well-being, and safety. We oppose any proposal or resolution that is connected to industrial development. We already are surrounded, as you saw on the map earlier. We have development to the west, to the east, and to the south. And there are still more developments on the table being proposed. And the only reason I believe we don't have development to the north is because I-20 is right there. So we're surrounded by pollution. Every day, in the morning and the afternoon, in the evening, there's traffic backups on I-20 as well as I-35, which is right there too. So we're surrounded, and we're sick and tired of being sick and tired. We've been doing this a long time. And this Black History Month, when I think about Highland Hills, I think about one of my favorite movies, The Color Purple. And Miss Sophia said, all my life I've had to fight. And that's Highland Hills. All our lives we've had to fight. We've been fighting this fight for decades. We are sick and tired of coming down here telling you that we're sick and tired, but we're gonna keep coming because nobody seems to listen. So City of Fort Worth, do something and protect our community. Do the right thing and stop all this development that's industrial. We have to breathe. There are people here that have lived in Highland Hills way longer than I've been alive, and I'm 58 years old. So it's time to do the right thing and protect our community. As a matter of fact, we would love to request a moratorium on all industrial development within 1 mile radius of our community. We're boxed in. We're tired of the Fort Worth way where we go along to get along. We're not going to do it anymore. We're going to keep fighting this fight, and we'll do it by any means necessary, whether that's civil disobedience, boycotting, standing in the middle of the road, slowing down traffic. We will do what we have to do until the City of Fort Worth protects our community and does something to help us out. Thank you.
Next speaker, Letitia Wellborn.
Hi, my condolences to you all in the loss of Gina Bivens. But I just wanted to say that Echo High Stop 6 Environmental Coalition of Communities, Fort Worth Environmental Coalitions of Communities, we stand with Highland Hills community. I'm looking at myself, I got lipstick from my mask. But my community is one of the most polluted communities in the entire United States, with some of the highest cancer rates within the entire United States. This is verified. And my community is connected to this community. And whatever happens there comes on over to my community. Y'all have people on city staff that have master's degrees, PhDs, and y'all act like y'all don't understand, and it's y'all's job to understand this, that this pollution doesn't stay in one spot. Where they live is connected to where I live. And I am affected by that as well. My community is affected by that as well. And like Jerome, I have on a t-shirt that says, if you are silent about your pain, they will kill you and say you enjoyed it. And that's what's happening in Fort Worth. Fort Worth is going to have a black eye. Fort Worth, and I'm doing studies, y'all are among some of the most racist zoning, some of the most red line zoning. Y'all are actually killing people and acting like people are supposed to like it and enjoy it. Y'all know that what y'all are doing is hurting and killing people. Not only are y'all doing that, a few miles from where y'all put in this is where y'all want to put that data center. And just think, you got all these communities connected. Highland Hills, Echo Heights, where y'all want to put this data center. What's going to happen when all of that stuff collide in an area that's already highly polluted? What happens? Y'all have PhDs and master's degrees. This is y'all's job. What happens when all of this starts killing more people, babies, children? It affects children's learning abilities, all this pollution. Y'all need to stop what y'all doing and think and stop trying to make ways for these businesses to come and make y'all money. Because making y'all's money is costing us our lives and our money to pay for funerals and medical bills. So y'all need to look past y'all's pocketbooks and start looking at people, because y'all PhDs, y'all should know better, and I hope y'all are sometime held accountable.
Our next speaker is Malik Austin, followed by Adrian Smith.
I thought we was a little bit too old to be playing Cowboys and Indians with a little stick horse. I'm 56, well as Brother Johnson. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. Hello, how y'all doing, council? Let's look into the reality. Arsenic, lead, and manganese is something you don't expose yourself to no human life. I was there when Elton Woodard drowned at that site. Our community has been traumatized. We're talking about 1979. And we was prohibited. Right today, Google Earth. I drive by that site all the time on that same address. Today I seen weed control people. I hadn't seen this young man. We've been battling with this for over a year. This my last meeting was the first time I seen this young man. It's been going over a year. Mayor, I gave you the data in extreme public safety. How many of y'all have read 800 pages of this, what Mr. Cody has? No one up here. I excuse Ms. Peoples and Ms. Hall, they wasn't here. But Mayor, you was here. Okay, 76 solid waste management persons, it's already been identified what they were doing. Texas Steel was doing the illegal dumping. When you have these type of contaminants, you left out cadmium, Cody, you left out zinc, Cody, so you left out 2 more that we discussed last time. But when you have all these together, it changes its state. You did not talk about hydrogen sulfate 2. It's a deadly gas. When you go to excavate and move all this and disturb this, if you're gonna do it right, 3181 of VCP, the Volunteer Cleaning Program, has not yet been approved. Her name is Ms. Vitale. Ms. Vitale. She's over remediation. But they won't go down 14 feet and remove this stuff. Did you notify Alcon? That's 1.5, less than 1.5 miles. Did you notify Alcon Laboratories? No, you didn't. You kept them out the loop. So we can't move forward to all the testing. If you have an operation, you just don't have no one doctor. You have denied us access to see the materials that you tested with. No timestamps, no videos. I sent information in, what they supposed to have when they came back. They have nothing, and they have yet to be approved for VCP 3181 as reported. This has been going on for too long. If you're gonna do it right. So you have to deny it because it's too risky. We're talking about extreme public health safety. There's no warning signs. There's anything up there to protect the people of Highland Hills.
Mr. Smith will be followed by Abricia Marie.
To the great people of the Highland Hills community, know that I stand with you. It's crazy, y'all. You know, whenever they want to convince us, they send someone who looks like us. Let that sink in. Whenever they want to convince us, they always send someone who looks like us. It's amazing that the developers come in and out of this space on a weekly basis, and whenever they get what they want, they haul butt. But when does the community's voice matter? Council representatives, when they are willing to come out to these meetings and say, hey, we are against this, we are against this, we are against this. When does it matter? Not to continue to defer these particular topics as if, well, we'll figure out a way around it. There's no way around people's health. There's no way around it. Once bad things start happening to individuals' health, the only other option they usually give us is what? Pills, popping pills, and we know that don't work because all pills have side effects. So I want to say to the Highland Hills community, you have a option at your disposal that no one has utilized, and it can be utilized. We don't have to wait to, you don't have to wait to 2027. Recall is an option. If the council member of your district does not listen to you, recall them. Don't wait to 2027. It doesn't take much to recall an individual. It takes more to recall a mayor because it's a citywide thing. But for your particular council member, recall an individual. Don't wait till 2027. You had that option. Stop playing with our livelihoods. Okay? Our livelihoods are not for sale. Okay? And let me ask the question to this mayor and council. Why hasn't anyone else wanted to develop on that particular plot of land? We know developers come in and out of this space on a weekly basis. Why hasn't anyone else wanted to develop there? Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Cody, but we know presentations are for face value, it just serves a purpose to try to convince those who haven't been doing their homework that this is the proper thing to do. I truly think, Mr. Crane, you are a developer, so you understand the X's and O's. Hopefully, sir, your consideration will be given. Ms. Martinez, you haven't taken full reins of a district that was affected, has been affected over the last 10 years because of failed policies. Hopefully, we get your support on this, vote no against this particular agenda item. And again, whenever they want to convince us, they send someone who looks like us. Thank you.
Abricia Bari, followed by Gina Bird. No? Gina Bird? Thank you, Gina. Gina will be followed by Crystal Womack.
Good evening. My name is Gina Bird. I'm here on behalf of NAACP. I am the Environmental Climate and Justice Program Coordinator and the committee chair. I was recently invited to the meeting on Thursday last week, what they had with public safety public hearing. And what was disclosed was they had several chances to develop a meeting with these people, and they just started this year on the 8th and the 24th. It's been a whole year since this was dismissed in 2024, where we, the community members, have not seen any justification of the samples that they've taken or the environmental studies that they've done. Cody did mention that there was arsenic, lead, as well as manganese. Now, let me speak to that. As a former instructor at Texas A&M for hazardous materials, that was my job. I'm still certified as a compliance, safety, and health official. So I have that credential. I study hazmat, okay? So let me tell you what arsenic, lead, and manganese does when it's put together, okay? That is a very, very bad neurotransmitter. So it causes extreme brain damage. It shuts down the central nervous system. It causes cardiovascular health disease. For children, it is the worst. Those three combinations, 1, 2, and 3, all of those are highly hazardous toxics, okay? And they are regulated by several 40 CFR, 29 CFR, OSHA, EPA. Now, what we're asking is to do a legitimate study on that ground, because once you dig into that ground, what will happen when you dig into that dirt, we don't know. But the pollution, think about that. In that quadrant of death, you saw the maps there. When that gets interrupted, that plume is going to come down. And that's why he said we can't breathe. Think about once they disturb that land, the dust comes up, and that's what's falling down. You're inhaling arsenic. You're inhaling lead. You're inhaling those things. Those are also combustible dust. Okay, so if they're doing construction, they're going to have to be mindful of explosions, things like that. All three of those are carcinogens. We know what carcinogens are, cancer-causing agents, okay? So when we think about pollution, think about that. And we want to guarantee that they've done these studies before, because that is a requirement under your state statute. 30 TAC 350, that's the Texas Risk Reduction Program. They have to comply with those by law, federal law, and I have several other federal requirements that does have to be adhered to before they dig on a prior landfill, which that was, okay? So all of these are governed by federal laws, and we're just asking them to do that study so we can see it. We want to add input, and it wouldn't be in the best interest of the public health to approve this because they want to limit those restrictions. They want to limit those and start producing. So we are in, we don't want it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Crystal Womack.
Go to the center podium, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Crystal Womack. I've lived in Highland Hills for over 30 years. And the man that came to speak from that Blair Holdings, they came to talk to us. They presented nothing new. The only new thing is they sent the black guy out to talk to us. So the other thing is they want to be good neighbors. Until recently, there was no cleaning up done over there. So that's not how a good neighbor goes. If I did what they've been doing, I'd have tickets. Y'all send somebody out to my house. We're already surrounded by warehouses, and tomorrow there's a zoning meeting to rezone some of the area to potentially add more warehouses. There's some talk of some affordable housing. Okay, I'm all right with that, but I'm sick of the warehouses, and I live at the end of the neighborhood, so I didn't get a notice about this, but I got one about the zoning. I don't want more cars and trucks at my back window when I'm trying to sleep. Right now, when the interstate's having issues, our street is flooded. I live on the corner, and I can't get out of my street to get down on Oak Grove to leave because of the traffic that comes anytime I-35 is overfilled or I-20. The other thing I wanted to say is those 14 acres, I see that as kind of a bribe. If they give it to the city council, then maybe y'all go ahead and let them do whatever they want to do. That's the way I see it. One of our neighbors talked about having maybe a well or something in her yard that has some of these items in it or minerals. I've not heard anything from Blair Holdings or the neighbor about anybody looking into it. I'm really kind of sick of this. In fact, we have low-income housing, we have affordable housing by income. It's like you're just trying to pile everybody who's at 80% of the median income or below in our neighborhood. You know, just like when you have people and they don't have opportunity to learn anything from each other, but stuff we already know. So I'm highly opposed to it, and I'm really sick of the warehouses. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Councilmember Nettles, that's the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. There's a couple of things that I did hear. I don't know if we articulated, so I'm going to ask staff. I think it was about providing results of the testing before work is done. Can we talk to that? So I want to kind of deal with just factual things.
Absolutely. So we know that there's an active conversation between the developer and the TCEQ as they work through this voluntary cleanup application process. And we do know that TCEQ has requested more data specifically for soils and for groundwater, and that testing has not been completed and those results have not been submitted back to the TCEQ. Typically, the MSD consideration is a part of that process of that back and forth between the developer, the applicant, the owner, and the TCEQ, the state, to gather more information to really understand what cleanup activities need to occur at the site. So the next document that would typically be produced and is in the works probably between TCEQ and the developer is what's called an affected property assessment report. And so that additional data needs to come forward for the TCEQ to continue those conversations. This particular MSD component is only to restrict that groundwater, and it's only a resolution to ask the TCEQ to go a little bit further. So we would typically expect for TCEQ to continue to review that data, to continue to work with the developer to develop that remediation action plan and to keep things moving. As far as the results, we can certainly make those available, and that's why we're really an advocate for having this third-party vendor through Friesa Nichols come in and do a full assessment of the entire application process through all of the documents, and then try to find a way to really make sure all of this data is readily available for anyone that wants to review it.
So the Friesa Nichols component will kind of take into effect having results given to the city council and to the community as they come in.
Absolutely. This would be a vendor paid by the city of Fort Worth. So we want to try to build that trust, independent, third party, not paid by the developer. Absolutely.
Do we know if, I don't know if you can answer or legal, um, if this is approved today and TCEQ find that there were issues with the soil that was submitted to them, if it would stop the process?
So TCQ ultimately has to make the decision to grant the MSD or not to grant the MSD. So we're just one piece of this process. We would complete the developer's application to continue those dialogue with the TCQ. So theoretically, yes, if the TCQ found an issue with this, they would potentially withhold the MSD. That's correct.
Okay. And you currently, or the city has been in works with TCEQ to provide or have a sit-down conversation with the developer and the neighborhood community, as well as the city staff.
Absolutely. We heard the community that they would like to have a conversation, sort of a charrette, if you will, for everyone to come together to include representatives from TCQ, the developer, the city, and all other parties to come through and really have a conversation, to comb through the data, to comb through the application and what have you. At this time, we still believe that we can move that forward, and we would like to do that in March or April, or as soon as we can get that scheduled.
I guess my last question is for legal, and I think I asked this, but I'm gonna ask it again on the dais. To the question of providing the testing before anything is done on the site, do we have any legal right to add that into the approval of this motion today? I think somebody's coming. I know TCEQ will have the final say, but do we have any reins to hold it to the developer?
So Kevin Andrews, Assistant City Attorney. So if the question is whether or not you can include the requirement to test in the motion, what we've included is that the city will do it. If TCEQ finds that additional things are required, then that will be part of what they need to do. However, in this case, if they don't, then that would be it, and then the city's responsibility per the motion would step in. Does that answer your question?
No. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Let me try to ask again.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I know this is difficult. The community is asking for results to be given to them prior to the development starting. Are we allowed to add that into the motion to require that that the developer or Freeze and Nichols or TCQ to be given to the community prior to the development starting?
I believe you can.
Okay. I want to add that into the next question. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have anybody here that can discuss the permit or the NEZ opportunities on this site.
No, sorry, you can't speak. I'm so sorry, ma'am. Let us continue with the conversation. DJ, thank you.
Yes, sir, Councilman.
All right, just a broad question about the permanent and the NEZ opportunities that are associated with this property or this land.
So basically, this property is located in an NEZ, and in an NEZ, basically, it is a area designated in the city of Fort Worth where development fees can be waived and tax abatements can be a process that they can go to as well.
Okay, I know that the city staff and others want to continue a conversation as it relates to permitting the location if this MSD is approved, and so that things can be supported to the neighborhood association or the neighborhood community center or area all at once. So I just want you to provide that this is in an NEZ opportunity zone. Thank you. Mayor, I've been battling with this decision for quite some time, and I think a couple of things that is factual as well as when it was denied the last time, one of the things that the community asked for was for a site plan. And in addition to no more warehouses. And so when the site plan was not readily available or the developer did not agree to provide that site plan, it gave me tremendous pause to move forward with this development, because I think it's important that the community should know how far it is from their neighborhood or from their backyard. The second thing is that there are certain requirements that are made upon filing for MSD or a zoning request or a permit in the city of Fort Worth. Once you apply, there are certain days that public hearing notices should be given out. And I know that I think they reapplied in November and the process started then. So for some that are asking the question about not responding to the community in the year, it was basically off the table until they reapplied. And so one of the things that the neighborhood talked about is the dust in the air, and I think we want to add the, Adrian, while I'm talking, you're not talking, okay? About the dust mitigation in the air to provide safety for our neighborhoods. And so one of the things that really give me tremendous pause in this is that the developer can continue to build without this MSD. This MSD stands as an opportunity to prevent any drinking water, any opportunity to be using any water, any pollution within the grounds. The second thing, it allows the city to require additional safety measures to this community. Now, what I do want to look at in the very next future is how we change the zoning to around Highland Hills that is not in the active project, because I think it's important that Highland Hills should be protected from any other future zoning mechanism. But where we are today, as I would call it, is a rock in between a hard place. Denying this MSD would further hurt the community than it would protect the community. Approving this MSD with restrictions will give more safety to this community. And with that, I'm going to move to approve MSC 26-0078 with the following revisions. Amend the MSD to include the following. City staff will monitor the developer compliance with all applicable laws, including illegal dumping, grading, stormwater protection, and site maintenance. City staff will directly work with the developer and Highland Hills Neighborhood Association to address issues as they arise. An independent third-party environmental testing will be conducted before, during, and after construction as coordinated by city staff with the developer. City staff will provide quarterly or semi-annual updates on status and results of testing to Highland Hills Neighborhood Association during the construction and for 2 years after completion. City staff will convene a roundtable with community representatives, the developer, and TCEQ to support transparency, explain the testing process, and anticipate the results and ensure access to information and the opportunity to speak. These steps will ensure transparency, building, and understanding to keep residents informed throughout the process. As well as the city will change the public hearing date to today, clarify the developer continuing obligations, including soil, contamination, investing, and response, authorizing the city to perform additional groundwater testing for up to 2 years of the grading certificate is issued. The city will further require testing to be proven and reported back to the city council and to the community before any progress can happen on a development site. That's my motion.
A motion and a second, Councilmember Martinez.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I forgot one piece. It is also further that the city will work to have the 14 acres donated to the city of Fort Worth.
Thank you, Councilmember Nels. I got a motion and a second, Councilmember Martinez.
Just had a question for the developer, or Councilman Nettles, you could probably answer this. So is it my understanding that the developer will move forward with this project with, even if this motion fails or passes?
You can ask the developer that. Will the
There was a
developer-
question for Harrison. Just a minute, Mr. Smith, if you could come up to the front, please. Not you, Adrian, sorry. The other Mr. Smith. Appreciate your enthusiasm. Harrison, the question again, Councilmember Martinez.
Yes, if this motion fails, will the project move forward? I mean, you have the zoning that allows it, so I just wanted to hear from the developer if you would move
We
forward
will
with this
continue with
project.
the project. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Peoples.
So I want to, first of all, thank my learned council member, Chris Nettles, for trying to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. And if you're old, you understand that. But for most of my 73 years, I have chosen to live in communities of color because that's the work I do, and I believe you have to be there. But it is a documented fact that communities of color and poor communities become dumping grounds for facilities that other people don't want. And so I know that you're between the rock and hard place, Councilmember Nettles, and I know what you are trying to do. But I think if we, as a city government, are going to show all of our residents that we care, we've got to stand up sometimes to some of this industrial dumping. I live in a community where we are plagued by industrial dumping and surrounded by it. And so while I respect you and I know what you're trying to do, unfortunately, I am going to have to vote no on this.
Councilmember Hall. Try one more time. I don't know why this always happens, Mia. There we go.
Okay. So, Councilman Nettles, like Councilman Peoples, I understand that you are very much in between a rock and a hard spot. And I have to say that I find this to be very, very complicated. I've been here for a very short time, and this is a lot to dissect and distill. And I even still find some challenges in completely understanding it. But I want to make sure, if there was an opportunity, if you could explain this more in layman's terms. I think that a lot has been said this evening. I've had a lot of my own internal questions to understand. I think the zoning piece is a piece that you could lift up. The development by right is a piece that can be lifted. I think the explaining perhaps the protections that you're trying to safeguard by the amended motion that you've made, or the I don't know, the additional stipulations. I'm just saying, is there a way for you to explain that in layman's terms so people understand the rock and the hard spot that you're in and the safeguards that you're trying to curate because of the rock and the hard space that we're in? I share similar concerns, and I actually have apprehensions and fears about development in my own district. And the zoning implications or lack thereof in some places. And so if you could explain this, I think, where it's more digestible, I just think that people will be more comfortable with your motion and understand what you're stating. So that's my request.
A question, Councilmember Hall, for Councilmember Nettles? Okay. Councilmember Beck?
I guess there seems to be confusion, even though we discussed this in executive session. So I'd like to maybe clear up some of this confusion. So I'm clear before we vote. We've heard the developer say that whether we do this MSD or not, they will continue with the project, correct? So if we vote against this today, it does not matter in regards to that project that you're trying to stop, because that project will continue to go forward. Is that correct? Am I understanding this correctly? So the MSD provides a way for us to mandate testing on that site that didn't otherwise, would that testing happen without the MSD process? And I guess that's a question for Cody.
That should happen.
So I'd say two components. So we do know that there is additional testing required by TCEQ, and that is going to continue regardless of the decision to approve or deny the MSD. We also have the opportunity, if the MSD moves forward, for the city and its consultants, again, Freakes and Nichols, to step in and to provide that extra guard or that extra oversight for this particular project.
So if the MSD does not go in place, what oversight do we have?
Only what the TCEQ provides.
Thank you. That's all the questions I had.
And Cody, before you sit down, question for you. It's my understanding that the MSD solely prohibits use of the groundwater for potable purposes, correct?
Absolutely.
So if we were not to approve the MSD, what could then in turn happen in use of the groundwater?
With respect to the groundwater, we would expect for, again, the TCEQ to continue review of the application, and we would expect for TCEQ to set a remediation plan around the groundwater piece as well as the soil piece, which will continue anyway. So we would expect the developer to probably have to continue to sample groundwater for several years into the future as they continue to move their project forward.
So technically speaking, you may not love this, but in some ways this MSD designation provided by the state for city governments like ourselves is largely redundant for a process that they're going to undertake at TCEQ as well.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Any other questions for Dr. Wittenberg? Councilor Nettles.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I just addressed a few things. I think it's important that when you apply or you come to be on city council, that you individually have to do your homework. And reading the MSD is strictly restricting the groundwater use. This is not about zoning. This is not about trying to stop environmental. It's about a process that we have to go through. And so to have an emotional clap back of I'm standing with the neighborhood is a cute commercial piece, but it's not a piece that actually supports this community. And so I respectfully disagree with Councilman Peoples and with Mia Hall. I think that there was at least a vote that I didn't support affordable housing, but I took your leadership on it and I supported you in that vote because that was your district. And so I will welcome both of you to come to Highland Hills meeting every first Thursday and sit with Highland Hills and continue to discuss how we can better help Highland Hills, but to come on the dais and just shit on this dais with different things about what's really not what we're talking about today. We're talking about an MSD that is gonna help support us to figure out what is happening on this groundwater instead of allowing them to do whatever they want to do with us having any say so. And so that's why I made the motion. We talked about an executive session. If you had questions then, I don't think nobody did. So that's what my motion is.
I've got a motion, Councilmember Hall, and then I think Councilmember Crane has a question or comment. Councilmember Hall. I don't know why. There we go.
I want to clarify, since there is some confusion apparently. I didn't think that the information presented tonight was simplified enough for the general public to understand. There was an inordinate amount of information that was provided. There is a lot of vernacular which is considered common on this dais that may not be common to the citizens in this gallery. So when I said that I agreed with Councilwoman Peoples, my agreement with her is about the exploitation of marginalized communities. Not necessarily that I agreed with her vote, but that I agreed with the position and the protections that we have been denied as Black and brown people in this country. Now, I do want to lift up the protections and the effort that you have taken to protect this community. And I was giving you the opportunity to make sure that you put that forward and lifted it up so that the people in this room understood the advocacy and the effort that you put in. So you misunderstand me, but perhaps you understand now.
Councilmember Crane.
I just had a question. I don't know if Harrison needs to answer it. Maybe Chris already. You got to tell the truth, brother. They're going to move forward. You know why?
You're hard to hear, Michael. Just a second.
As part of green space. Is that correct?
Try that again, Michael.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify, as part of this deal, there's 14 acres being donated for green space. Is that correct, as a buffer?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, and they wouldn't be under any obligation to do that if they just move forward without, if this vote fails?
That's correct.
Okay, I just wanted to put that out there, that I appreciate that, and I appreciate them working with Councilman Nettles and city staff on all of this. And I don't know if there's a second already, but I will second it. I see there is a second, but I'll be supporting this.
Councilmember Nettles, did you have something else?
Yes, Mayor. Just lastly, I want to as well acknowledge that we all have to support our communities, and that there is issues that are happening in our Black communities. And that is a further issue that we need to take in our planning and in our zoning, not individual motions or cases. That needs to be a citywide thing that we do as it relates to Highland Hills, Echo Heights, and any other neighborhood that experience. I too have not stepped away from the community. I support those efforts. Tonight, my vote is simply to make sure that there's added protection to a neighborhood who has received such damage to them. And so I look forward to voting on that tonight.
It's a conclusion. I believe Councilmember Nettles has a motion on the floor, seconded by Councilmember Beck. Any other discussion, council? If not, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 26-0117.
Councilmember Blaylock. I'm going to give it just a second. Let the conversation maybe cease for a minute. Councilmember Blaylock can vote. There we go. Carlos, you have to hit it one more time. Thank you. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-184.
Councilor Nettles, we have two speakers on this item, Bob Riley, followed by Letitia Wilburn.
Thank you. I'm Bob Riley with Half Associates. This is coming back to you. It was continued last month. It's a 42-acre site that is presently agricultural, and we're asking for it to be light industrial, and the proposed use of the property is a data center and supportive facilities for a data center. This is on the east side of England Drive, across from Forest Hill, and to the further to the east is Village Creek in our city's southeast landfill. If you look at this exhibit, the highlighted area is showing the area that we're asking for the rezoning, and it abuts existing K zoning to the north that's in Fort Worth, as well as to the northeast or northwest is a comprehensive plan for Forest Hill, indicates that to be a light industrial. Would like to highlight here that we, after our continuance last month, we did have a conference call between Black Mountain and the city of Everman and Forest Hill, both of their mayors and the city manager, to do an overview of the project. We're asking today to just, for recommendation or a favorable recommendation uh, uh, from ag to light industrial. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Councilmember Nettles. Our next speaker is Letitia Welborn. Ms. Welborn, no, not present. Ms. Letitia, you're up. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm just gonna say I am in opposition to this because this is a data center that is actually next to a landfill, a trash landfill. Now, those should not even be close together. I'm not an environmental expert, and even I did research and understand enough that they shouldn't even be close together. Not to mention, these things create so much pollution. These data center people, they should have met with my community, which is next door to Forest Hill. They should meet with Arlington because Arlington Lake is right there, and what comes from that data center is going to affect Arlington and that lake. They should meet with Mansfield, Kennedale. They should meet with all areas that are going to be affected. Highland Hills, everybody they should meet with. This area also, because it's close to a landfill, there's a lot of gases that's going to be used. What happens if there's a catastrophic explosion? What about Forever Chemicals? Fort Worth, y'all filed a lawsuit about Forever Chemicals. This data center is going to bring more. And Arlington Lake, which is a water supply for Arlington, is right there. Now, Arlington, the city of Arlington, they take care of their side of the lake. Fort Worth trashes the side of Arlington Lake. Not only that, the pollution, the noise, the cancer risk is going to be higher. And there's just so many things that can be wrong. Putting this in an area where y'all just approved a deal for groundwater that's already had problems with it. Y'all just approved that. And now y'all want to put a data center in an area that is already highly polluted. I think that it's going to be my mission to put the city of Fort Worth on the map with Flint, Michigan, Milwaukee, Chicago, LA, all of these other areas that are highly polluted communities. It is my goal, it is my mission to add that to my bucket list before I die. I want what Fort Worth is doing to be a black eye. Y'all know that y'all should not be putting a data center by a landfill. Of all things, that is totally inappropriate, it's totally unhealthy, and I'm gonna sit down because I'm gonna speak on the rest on the other part, but y'all killing people. Y'all need to start paying for
The
funerals.
conclusion of our speakers on this item, Councilmember Nettles. Sorry, Chris, there you go.
Thank you. I just wish people stop with the misinformation. We're not killing people. Now, can I ask somebody, is zoning or the representation? Now, this is the land that we have already approved for the original data center, I guess, back in August. And this is just additional lots that's on the same land. Is that correct or not?
This site is adjoining some of the property that we've already rezoned. That started back in January of last year. This is actually the fifth zoning case as we've acquired and got the option to purchase additional property. So presently we are at a little over 450 acres. This would be in addition to that.
It's additional to what? How many acres?
Presently, we have had zoning cases that have accumulated 450 acres. for this proposed data center complex campus.
Right. So do you have the map of the entire campus? 'Cause I think there are some.
Have it in the next zoning case.
Well, it's already on the computer. So can we pull up the next slide?
The one that shows the entire site is associated with case ZC 25205.
Is this not the site?
I think you're asking, if I understand your question correctly, you are asking what we have already rezoned, and
From my understanding, this is a part of the original request that we have approved, but you're having to rezone each parcel of land. So where is the total map of the land that we're trying to use for this campus that you guys have requested?
this exhibit that's up here, the property that's associated with 184 zoning case is highlighted in the top right corner. It's crosshatched. It's along England Avenue. The case that's 205, which is the last one on your docket, is the property that's at the southeast corner of the site. Everything that's in the green is either PD or straight zoning, and everything that's in the blue is a PD with development standards with a site plan required. And it does show preliminarily where the floodplain is.
On this map, what are you trying to rezone?
Top right is case number 184. That's crosshatch, 42 acres.
Okay, and you guys met with the city of Everman?
And Forest Hill last week at your, last month when you continued this case, to make sure that they understood what our scope and.
Right now, I received notification from both, from Everman, that they were okay with moving forward on this site. I think Jeanette has some questions.
Councilor Martinez.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify, this is a new piece of land that we're trying to rezone today, right?
Yes, we had made application for this, I believe, back in October. We went to zoning in December, and then we came to council in January, and it was Councilmember Nettles' request to continue it until this month.
And so which one is the one we approved in the last meeting?
You have approved 5 different zoning cases.
Those green ones?
Yes, you've already approved all those green ones.
Uh-huh.
Everything's already been approved
Okay.
for zoning, with the exception of the crosshatched one at the very top right and the one that's subject to a zoning hearing this evening down at the bottom right.
Councilman Nettles, I know you already continued this, but I respectfully request that you consider continuing again. I know we requested a briefing for council on data centers. I just don't feel comfortable supporting this zoning case because I don't know enough about data centers and how concentration of those centers would impact our infrastructure and resources.
Councilor Nettles.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and agree with it. I don't know if it's because it's 9 o'clock, but hell, I done got confused too. So, I'm going to continue it for 2 weeks, and then what I need to know is what I need to know is the land that we are approving. What's already approved, those buildings, are there going to be additional buildings added to those lands, or are those lands needed to actually build what we have already approved? And so I need real clarity of what the whole complex is going to look like, the how many buildings before we approve these last 2 lots.
We'll get that to you.
Okay.
Councilor Beck.
I'm going to get this new system before I'm off council. Uh, Just for point of clarification, because I heard Councilwoman Martinez say that she wants, we requested the data center information, and she won't be comfortable taking that vote until we get that report. And then Councilman Nettles.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
So are we going to get that report in 2 weeks, or do we need to have a discussion about that real quick?
The current timing, according to our city manager, is that that report would come to us on March 3rd.
So.
So you may,
So 30.
March 10th. So continue this to March 10th. Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I've got a Martian has landed, a motion and a second. Any other discussion from council? If not, okay, motion to continue. Let's vote. Motion passes.
Next is ZC-25-111.
Councilmember Nettles, one speaker on this item. Randy Williams. Councilmember Nettles, did you want to speak first?
Oh, go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Roger Battle, Pastor Battle, and I'm requesting a zoning change at 3168 North Glen Gordon Drive, Glen Gordon Baptist Church, from a Zone B, which is a two-family resident, and E, which neighborhood commercial, to a CF, and added a conditional use permit for lodging.
Councilmember Nettles?
Finished, Mr. Pastor Battle, you finished?
Yes.
All right, thank you. I move to approve.
Got a motion and a second, council. Please vote. I only had one speaker on this item, Mr. Williams. Well, I called Randy Williams. I don't know how that would happen. Who are you, sir?
I'm Pastor Battle. That was the docket on the ZC 25-111.
We're all confused because it's 9 o'clock.
Well, tell you what, we're going to pause for a minute. Mr. Williams, come on down. Since you're Mr. Williams, we can straighten this out.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Randy Williams, and I live in the area. I'm here today to express my concerns about the zoning of Class CZ 25-111. First, I want to acknowledge the positive intentions behind the project. According to the applicant's materials, the site is currently housing individuals who are abused, neglected, or in need of temporary assistance. I respect that mission, and I support efforts to help vulnerable people. However, I believe this particular zoning request creates more long-term risk for the neighborhood than benefits. I just lost my page, went blank. But one bullet point in there, are you licensed to care for these individuals? It's a church, but then I see the people that are staying in the back, and every Saturday, there's a garage sale in the front of the church. So I don't know what is going on there. My first concern is the broad nature of the proposed community facility zoning. While the application is framed around lodging house with 2-year limit, The district allows a wide range of institutional uses far beyond what is being discussed today. Once the zoning changes, future owners or even the current owners could request additional uses without the neighborhood having predictable safeguards. I'm concerned that approving this request opens the door to higher intensity uses that are not compatible with the residential surroundings. Second, the request includes developmental waivers for setback encroachments and front yard fencing. Third, the lodging house introduces potential impacts related to safety, traffic, and parking. Finally, I'm concerned about the lack of clear, enforceable operations plans. In closing, I ask the council to either deny the zoning or request or to postpone it until more clearly defined, tightly controlled
Thank you,
proposals
Mr. Williams.
can be presented.
Thank you. Okay, Councilmember Nettles.
Yes, Mr. Williams, what I can do for you, because I have worked with Pastor on this for a little bit over a year, and we can get a meeting set up with you and I, my staff, and the pastor. You can have understand exactly what's happening at that location. But we have worked with code to make sure things were cleaned up in that area for the lodging for the residents who are going to be there, as well as some of the legal activity that's over there that's happening. So my staff will get with you before you leave to get your information so we can sit with you to get more clarity on this zoning case. Thank you for coming up to speak for the community. My motion stands as it is.
Got a motion and a second. Council continue to vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-144.
Ray Ojeski, Councilmember Peoples. Only if there's opposition. There is none as of right now, so Councilmember Peoples.
Saying, I don't want to offend any member of council. I think we work together well, but there will be disagreements. But one of the things that I am passionate about is zoning and making sure that the communities that I represent and communities around the city of Fort Worth aren't the recipients of things that they don't want. So I didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings tonight. I was just speaking my truth. Having said that, I will tell you that every zoning case that comes up in District 5, I meet with the people that are asking for the zoning cases, and I bring my staff in, and we make them meet with the neighborhood associations. Mr. Ojeski does that, and so I am grateful to you for doing that. We were able to meet with this applicant and suggest refinements to his original plan. They agreed to that and put that in there, and so I am recommending approval of this item.
Councilmember Peoples has a motion on the floor. I heard a second down here. Councilmember Beck. Any other discussion? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-178.
Councilmember Martinez.
Thank you, Mayor. So in regards to ZC 25170, I have an amended motion, so I'd like to motion to approve as amended. Plan Development District, oh wait, was there a speaker?
Only if there's opposition, to which to my knowledge there is none.
So Plan Development District for all uses in ER, neighborhood commercial restricted with common exterior entry for building tenants, and add a conditional use permit for a mobile food vendor, potentially hazardous site plan included.
Got a motion and a second. Council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-193.
Councilmember Martinez, we have a few speakers on this item. Our first is Mick Middlebrook, followed by Pastor McKinley Jackson.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Micah Middlebrooks, and I'm the CEO and president of Three River CDL.
Mr. Middlebrooks, should you pull that microphone a little bit closer so I can hear you?
Here we go.
Thank you,
How's
sir.
that?
That's perfect.
My name is Micah Middlebrooks, and I'm the CEO and president of Three River CDL, operate a truck driving school located at 4000 East Berry in Fort Worth. Over the past 3 years, our program has successfully placed more than 450 men and women into the truck driving career. We provide CDL training for job placement. We also provide an additional 6 months of on-the-job training when necessary. Our program is offered at low cost to participants and is designed to be a direct service to the community. The training takes place during normal business hours on the campus. Students practice the backing and other maneuvers before exiting directly onto Berry Street and proceeding to Highway 287. We do not operate our training routes in residential neighborhoods. Berry Street is a major commercial thoroughfare and has been used intentionally to minimize the neighborhood disruption while providing real world driving experiences. Additionally, we were awarded a grant targeting zip codes 76105, 104, and 119, zip codes to support the youth pursuing a career path in trucking. Our student population includes a diverse group of African Americans, Hispanics, and others who benefit directly from the incentive. My team and I respectfully request the support in allowing the program to continue for 2 years in District 11 at 4000 East Berry. We're committed to helping our community grow, reducing unemployment, providing a meaningful career and opportunity for the residents. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Pastor McKinley Jackson, followed by Kelly Bullard.
Good evening, Mayor, and to the diocese. I'm here to speak on behalf of the CDL Trucking School, which is housed on our campus. Let me just say that it provides for people another opportunity and chance at life. This particular school helps provide what we've been trying to do down through the years. That's help our community. In this area, you have a large concentration of people who have felonies that are returning home from prison. This school provides, through federal grants, opportunities for people who need another chance to go to school for free and to be able to have employment. And I think that's wonderful. It's also been approved by the state. They couldn't even do what they do if the state did not already approve them being there. So it's already state approved. They already have federal funding to be able to help people who are in need to go to school and then guarantee them jobs. Now, I'll say this and then I'll be in my seat because Councilman Nettles already said I was going to talk long, but you're going to, yeah, But in addition to that, this erroneous rumors that it's waking up the neighborhood is just false. I'm on the campus every day. I don't even hear the trucks. They're not loud. And then there are an excess of about 40, 50,000 cars that pass up and down Berry Street, that part of Berry Street every day. So it's not waking up people in the neighborhood. They're not tearing up streets because they're not carrying loads. And so I'm asking that you would approve this zoning change so that we can continue to do what we do in our neighborhood, and that's help people with another chance. Thank you.
Kelly Bullard, followed by Tommy Parker.
I'm Kelly Bullard. Good evening, City Council members and Mayor. Thank you for the opportunity of allowing me to speak today. I'm here to show my support for Mr. Middlebrooks and the Three Rivers CDL trucking program. We're located at 4000 East Berry Street. I'm a former graduate of the program, and I've been consistently impressed and truly inspired by both the program itself and the dedication Mr. Middlebrooks brings to each student. His teaching makes you feel as though you're the only student in the program. You receive his full attention and support. Because of this experience, I have made the decision to set aside my trucking career and join Three Rivers as an employee. When I first entered the program, I only had a dream. Now that I have completed it, I have a future ahead. I sincerely hope you see the value of this program and recognize the positive impact it can continue to have on others in our community. It's changing lives daily, just as it changed mine. Thank you.
Tommy Parker, followed by Harold Graves.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tommy Parker, and I'm speaking in support of Michael Middlebrooks' his program approval. I've known Micah for 30 years as his barber, and I've witnessed remarkable transformation of him becoming a successful business owner, and he's an outstanding person. He, Fort Worth, he's a taxpayer here in Fort Worth, and he truly helps people change their lives. This program really helps people, anybody involved in it, individuals, families. It's really a life-changing situation for them. So I just respectfully ask that you approve the program, and thank you for your time. And thank you for your service in Fort Worth.
Thank you, sir. Harold Graves, followed by Roger Hudson.
Good evening, councilmen, councilwomen, mayor. My name is Harold Graves, and I'm here today to show my support for Mr. Meadowbrook and Three Rivers CDL truck driving program. I'm here. I am where I am today because of the time and effort Mr. Meadowbrook and Three Rivers Truck Program took to teach me the trade of truck driving and how safety is most important in this field of work. I wasn't just a student, I was treated like I was one of the only people there. Mr. Meadowbrook would open Three Rivers on Saturdays to teach if we needed the extra time. This program has a very personal approach, and because of that, I am a graduate and the owner and CEO of HLG and Associates LLC, Big Shot Haulers. I thank you for your time this evening and for allowing me the opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Roger Hudson, followed by Alex Leos.
Good evening, Mayor Parker, council members. My name is Roger Hudson. I'm with Community Link Mission. We are a food bank. We distribute food in North Fort Worth to 5 different zip codes. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm here to express my support and share the positive impact that the CDL program at Three Rivers CDL Trucking, located at 4000 East Berry Street in Fort Worth, has had. With what we do at Community Link, we run several trucks. We go around to businesses. These are commercial vehicles, large commercial vehicles. We go around to businesses. We pick up donations from businesses, churches, Tarrant Area Food Bank, and other food bank organizations. Mayor Parker has been to our place. I've met her before. It's good to see you again. I personally completed this program. We currently have an employee in the program. There's also been 3 previous employees of Community Link that have gone through the program. We used to have grant money that was available to us, that when somebody would come to us in need and seeking a career change, we would send them through the program. So we're very familiar with the CDL program. It helps to build lasting careers. And Mr. Middlebrook and the Three Rivers CDL program are a true blessing to Tarrant County, to the residents who seek the meaningful employment and a stable career. God bless the United States. God bless Texas. God bless Fort Worth. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Alex Leos? Alex? Nope. Councilor Martinez, it's the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Thank you, Mayor. So I did speak to Mr. Middlebrooks, and I had some concerns, but after speaking to him and understanding that this is only a temporary location, and I know that Three Rivers CDL is looking for a permanent location, I am okay with this 2-year cup. So I motion to approve ZC 25193.
Got a motion and a second, council, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-196.
Councilmember Crane.
Approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-197.
Councilmember Flores. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-198.
Councilmember Martinez, we have 2 speakers with only opposition. To my knowledge, there is none. Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-200.
Councilmember Blaylock.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-201.
Councilmember Blaylock.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second, please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-202.
Councilor
Move to
Martinez.
approve.
Okay. Council motion in a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-203.
Councilor Martinez, we have 2 speakers on this item. The first is Mary Nell Poole, followed by Richard Rossetti.
Good evening, Council. Oh, sorry. Good evening, Council. Mary Nell Poole with Townsite. This case is located on Hemphill Street. As you can see from this aerial, the site is adjacent to an active railroad track that sees approximately 20 trains a day. There's a Whataburger and a church below it, and a door-to-door delivery service and vacant building above. There are 2 gas stations, one which has a Lisa's Chicken, a carpet cleaning service, and a Mexican restaurant. And the new pop-up vendors and food truck, which you just venue, which you just approved a few minutes ago, is directly across the street. Next slide. This site is a former 9,100 square foot Dollar General store that closed due to low sales, theft, and loitering. $150,000 in air conditioning equipment has been stripped and stolen from the building since it's been closed. The landscaping has died and homeless people congregate there. Next slide. My client proposes to renovate the existing building into a regional tire store center offering light automobile services related to tire services and sales such as mounting, balancing, alignments, brake replacement, oil changes, etc. There's no transmission or body work conducted on site. There will be no change to the existing site floor plan. The business will also provide 8 to 12 new salaried positions, hopefully from the surrounding neighborhood. These are not minimum wage jobs. We are requesting a PDE with light automotive added as an additional use. We are also excluding liquor, package store, convenience store, and gas station as future uses on the site. The project will follow all requirements of e-commercial, including landscaping, lighting, and signs. There will be no outdoor storage, and all services are conducted within the service bay areas. I understand there is concern with adding an automotive use on Hemp Hill. However, all automotive uses are lumped into one category no matter their intensity. This use is much more retail-oriented in nature with its come-and-go traffic. Approving the zoning request will provide the opportunity to repurpose a 9,100 square foot building to a use that is sustainable, will improve the street, provide new jobs for people living in the area, and help keep the homeless population away from this area with an active business. If not this, how long will this 9,100 square foot building sit and deteriorate, looking for a new user? My client is eager to become an active participant and sponsor of the community. I would ask for your approval. Thank you.
Councilor Martinez, our next speaker is Richard Rossetti.
Go ahead.
Mayor Parker, Council, my name is Richard Ricchetti. I currently live at 2100 block of Hemp Hill, and I'm also serving as the development head, the chair of the development committee for the Hemp Hill Corridor Development Collaborative. Regarding the conversion of this retail format, and it was formerly the Dollar General. It was an anchor property under E. We're hoping that it will continue to be an anchor property and continued retail under E, serving the community and the neighborhood. For many, many years, Hemp Hill Corridor Development Collaborative, the neighborhoods and the neighboring citizens along the corridor have long opposed the encroachment of auto sales, auto shops, auto repair. When an auto shop, once it's in, it continues to deteriorate and act as a deterrent against the development of that block. The Hemp Hill Corridor is for future use, a long-term mixed-use neighborhood connector. The neighborhoods, the citizens around Hemp Hill Corridor are looking for neighborhood supporting retail, neighborhood supporting businesses, and our concern is the continuation of auto encroachment and auto sales and auto repair into the corridor. With the neighborhoods and the citizens around the corridor, we are looking to bring in businesses that support the communities, that support sales, that support commerce. But anytime there's auto that's introduced into a block or an area, it brings more auto and deters other mixed-use residential operations. The Hemp Hill Collaborative heard the applicant's presentation. It was discussed, and it still opposes the rezoning of this permit to auto sales and auto repair. We know once the property is rezoned, it's not necessarily the current applicant, but what happens next. Once the building is converted to auto sales, to auto repair, it will continue to be auto repair and auto related businesses until it is completely torn down. We ask that you not approve this rezoning request. Thank you.
Councilor Martinez, this is the conclusion of our speakers on this item.
Mayor and Council, I ask that you please indulge me in bringing up Ricardo Avite. I know he had issues with signing up to speak, so if Ricardo, you could be very brief.
Thank you, Councilwoman Martinez, and thank you, Mayor and Council, for the opportunity to speak. Hemp Hill Street is unique in that it runs through both District 9 and District 11. I also want to be clear, at the outset, this is not opposition to a particular business, nor is it about competition or preferences. This is a concern about zoning consistency, corridor policy alignment, and whether the administrative record is complete before council amends the zoning map. Rezoning is a legislative act that should be supported by findings that the change is consistent and adopted planning policy compatible with surrounding development and in the long-term public interest. Hemp Hill Street is a corridor where the city made deliberate investments to reduce lanes, calm traffic, and prioritize pedestrian safety across Districts 9 and 11. Those investments were based on corridor level transportation and safety planning intended to support a pedestrian-oriented mixed-use environment. The requested rezoning introduces an automotive service use, a vehicle-intensive land use, yet there is no discussion on record explaining how that use was evaluated against the safety and transportation assumptions underlying the Hemp Hill Corridor redesign. I submitted a public information request seeking confirmation of whether the corridor studies evaluated the impact of additional auto service uses and whether those findings inform staff's recommendations. As of today, that information has not been provided. Without that analysis, the record does not demonstrate that this zoning change has been reconciled with the city's adopted infrastructure and safety framework. Moreover, the record is incomplete. Short-term vacancy should not determine long-term zoning policy. Zoning decisions establish corridor direction for decades, and they should be grounded in adopted planning principles rather than temporary site conditions. There is also a precedent issue. A car lot across the street was denied 2 years ago based on non-compatibility concerns. Approving this request without distinguishing that decision creates inconsistency in how the corridor is governed. Zoning decisions accumulate over time, and clustering of auto-oriented uses can materially shift corridor identity away from the pedestrian-centered vision the city has already adopted. This is not simply a site-specific question. It is a corridor governance question involving fairness, consistency, and long-term land use trajectory. I respectfully ask council to this item until the transportation safety record is complete. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So I want to preface my motion by providing a better understanding of my position. So I begin by looking at the section of Hemp Hill in District 11 within a 2-mile stretch. The number that I will provide will increase if we looked at a greater section, like going into District 9. Within this 2-mile stretch of Hemp Hill between Morningside and Seminary, there are 23 automotive-related businesses. This includes businesses such as tire shops, car lots, parts, tint, body, and repair shops. I don't know about you, but I, along with the surrounding neighborhood, feel that this is too much. I do not appreciate the mentality that only automotive is interested or would be successful on Hemp Hill. The neighborhood worked hard to remove this type of zoning to bring in commercial that would benefit the neighborhood. A perfect example is, as previously expressed, the empty car lot across the street. That will now be a third space for the surrounding community. And while there are challenges on Hemp Hill, I can assure you that things are getting better and we continue to address those issues alongside the community and city staff. This would be a step backwards, and I therefore cannot support this zoning case and motion its denial with prejudice.
Next is ZC-25-204.
Councilmember Martinez, we have 3 speakers on this item. They appear to all be for. Got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is ZC-25-205.
Councilor Nettles, is your intention to also continue this case until February? It's a companion case, the one earlier.
Correct. Motion to approve for 30. I'm sorry, motion to continue for 30 days. No, thank you.
Got a motion
Is it 30 days or until the March?
To the next zoning meeting, March the 10th.
March 10th. Got a motion, a second, council, please vote. Motion to continue passes.
Next is MNC 26-0118. And council, before we take action, I was asked to read into the record a correction to the MNC that notes that the Palladium Legacy Drive project does not target seniors 55 and over and does not plan to be tax exempt.
Thank you. Now, Councilmember Larsdorf, were you separate, did you have a motion to separate the items, or Councilmember Hill? You both do. Okay, Councilmember Hill.
Well, first of all, Kim and Thomas, thank you so much for staying with us for the long haul. I appreciate it. I appreciate the conversations you've had with the neighborhood associations, especially with Chapel Creek, Tejas Trails, and Vista West, along with White Settlement ISD. In this case, I really do feel like I need to do what's right for the neighborhood. North Elementary and the Harmony Charter School, which really has not been mentioned at all this evening, but they are significantly going to be impacted, as well as North Elementary. These are situated along Academy, Legacy, and White Settlement Road. Again, as I said, I appreciate Palladium trying to find a queuing solution for North Elementary, but it also requires North Elementary to give up some of their recess space too, and I think that needs to be noted. In this case, I'm going to side with the neighborhood. I am going to read a substitute motion. I move to approve MNC 26-008. Sorry, 0118 with the following change. Y'all, it's been a long night. I'm going to start over. I move to approve MNC 26-0118 with the following change. Remove references to Palladium Legacy Drive, meaning the development will not receive a resolution of support from the city.
Got a motion on the floor. Councilmember Larsdorf. I'm going to try your mic one more time. There we go. Is your green light on your mic? Okay. Well, I'm totally confused because does he have a different motion than Macy? Okay, so how does that work? Then what is he reading? For what her substitute is?
We can make a friendly amendment to hers.
Yeah, this is very confusing.
It's
So
making-
you've got a motion on the floor. Time out. I want Charlie to read what he's going to do, and we're going to go through this again. What are you trying to do, Councilmember Larsdorf?
Hill's motion by also removing references to Thompson from MNC 26-0118.
Thank you. So he has a motion to amend Councilmember Hill's motion. Does that make perfect sense to everybody on the dais? Great. Yes, Councilmember Nettles.
So I have a substitute motion. It's okay. So I move to approve the MNC with the exemption of the property A, which is Palladium Legacy Drive, and exemption property B, which is Thompson, to be voted on separately. So the motion that I have allows us to vote for all the ones that we're going to approve in one motion and vote separately for District 7 and District 4.
Okay. Just a second. I'm like testing my rules here. Ready? So I have a motion on the floor with substitute motion. Do I have a second to the substitute motion from Councilmember Larsdorf? Okay. Okay, that's what I'm asking. So there's no second, right? So then Councilmember Nettles is requesting that we separate the vote for D7 and D4. Works for me, so that would be a second. So we're going to vote to do we have to vote to do that first? Okay, fun. Got a motion and a second. We're voting just to separate the items. Thank you. Okay, motion carries. Why don't we vote first on all of the housing tax credit applications for the following districts?
Yep, move for approval.
Thank you. For clarity, that's CD2, CD3, CD5, CD6, and CD8.
Correct.
Okay. A motion and a second. We can vote. Yep. Councilmember Flores.
Is it all right if I say something?
Of course.
I want to take the opportunity to give appreciation to the applicant and her team for making the necessary outreach efforts to the neighborhood. I know it wasn't.
Get a little closer to the microphone, Carlos.
I know it wasn't easy to get everybody, there, or even virtually. But you did make concerted efforts, and I recognize that. And for those listening in, the Irma Park proposal is in CD2, and it's planned to have 65 one-bedroom units and 19 two-bedroom units. And the higher count on the one-bedroom units serves the purpose of limiting the resident mix as families and other large households typically prefer. The mix of 2 and 3 bedroom units. And the parking ratio, and I know parking came up more than once, is a 1.1 for each resident. So it exceeds that. Property will continue to be income restricted through the land use restriction agreement known as LURA for a minimum of 30 years. And with this agreement, the property must maintain the income and age restrictions that are designated on the housing tax credit award and according to LIRA. Additionally, the developer will pursue 9% housing tax credits for a 15-year extension period for a total of 45 years, as they agreed to when we discussed this subsequently. This ensures long-term ownership and ensures the intended use goes forward. At my request, the developer will also pursue a local historic designation, and that's in addition to the national historic designation that they were pursuing. Pursuing a local designation preserves the historic character and structure of this significant historical building. It's currently a vacant church. They will be coordinating with the city's Historic Preservation Department and our Development Services Department. On average, I want everyone to know that the housing in the North Side area is 76 years old, and a lot of that is legacy home ownership. That is, it passes on from one generation to the next. And in doing so, the houses typically don't grow with family needs. So one need that is very prevalent in the area is the need for quality senior housing. That way they can keep their loved ones, their elderly folks nearby. And so currently one does not use, so senior housing is an option that's needed. Property is vacant and secure right now. However, homeless people and vagrants do come onto the property, and this is a continuing problem. Adaptive reuse of the property will help alleviate this long-term to the benefit of the neighborhood. And then I have a personal message for Megan, Abby, Alice, Jimena, and Reggie. My expectations and the expectations of the neighborhood of this North Side area is for your team to exceed standards. How you develop this property and how you proceed to deliver on the project. The neighborhood has placed trust in Sagebrook, so have I. Do your best to execute accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Flores. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion from council? If not, please vote. Motion carries. Now let's go back and vote on the tax application that pertains to Council District 4. Councilmember Larsdorf.
Thank you, Mayor. I know the gentleman from Sphinx, thank you for coming out tonight and sticking with us this long. My only issue with this particular application was, I believe there's some issues around the notification, not necessarily the process, but the timeline. What we're getting from our residents, not necessarily opposition to the project itself, just from what they perceive to be the lack of proper notification as far as timeline goes, and only having a couple days to prepare for that meeting. Also had an issue with one of the requests being to only invite the surrounding communities that are directly around it, rather than anyone who wanted to come out and be there. So what I just ask is for Sphinx to, maybe we can go back to the drawing board and do better on reaching out to all the communities who want to be a part of that discussion, and understanding that multifamily could be built at this location by right. Should you decide to move forward with that without the housing tax credits, should you not receive those, you're certainly welcome to it. But regardless, we look forward to continue this conversation and bringing the neighborhoods in a more timely manner. So with that, I move to deny.
Got a motion to deny. Have a second, council? Got a motion and a second. Please vote. Motion carries. Councilmember, thank you. Councilmember Hill.
I don't even know how to make this. Can I just move to deny MNC 26-0118 as it pertains to District 7?
Second.
Can we have a motion and a second? Please vote. Motion carries.
Next is MNC 26-0119.
Councilmember Nettles. Is one of the long ones.
All right. I move that the Fort Worth City Council adopt a resolution authorizing use of the power of eminent domain to acquire .5018 acres of land in permanent easement and approximately 1.3336 acres for a temporary easement from real property owned by Accord Property 2001 LLC. This subject property is located at 11300 South Freeway in the Phillips James E. Survey of Tracts 1232, Track 1B, City of Fort Worth, Tarrant County, Texas. The land right is the subject property are needed for the water transmission main improvements on the south side to water transmission main project. The property interest to be acquired and described by Medi and bounds and depicted by surveys exhibit attached to the mayor and council communication.
Mayor, that concludes all of the action items and gets us to public comment.
Okay, council, our first speaker is Mindy Tackett, followed by Thomas Hamilton.
Hello again. I know it's late, so I'm going to be brief. I spent all day over at County Commissioner's Court, and one of the things that they voted to do today was to accept a grant that would expand ICE in Tarrant County. And I want to urge this council to speak up and push back. I know that y'all are city council. I know you're not county commissioners, but we are still part of Tarrant County, and it needs to be on your radar. The expansion of this partnership with ICE puts everyone in this county, including people in Fort Worth, at risk. The costs will be wrongful detention, constitutional violations, and litigation, and that directly impacts Fort Worth residents. We all know ICE is not operating in a legal manner. To be blunt, they are actively kidnapping and murdering people on the streets. I am not asking for you to input, Bob. Thanks. I also want to challenge us in another way. Latino heritage is something that for the last couple of weeks, people have been at the stock show celebrating. Many of you here on this dais have participated in that. The stock yards, Latino heritage is a cornerstone of the business that happens down there. Sasha Bass puts on a lot of events downtown. And I just am curious how, if we have an expansion of ICE activity, people being chased down and harassed in this city and this county, how is that going to impact all of those things and those people, the communities that this city says we embrace and celebrate? So anyway, I am encouraging each of you to use your position and your privilege from this dais to please speak up and please not sit back and just watch these things happen at the county level. I appreciate your time.
Thomas Hamilton will be followed by Bob Willoughby.
Madam Mayor and Council. Last time I came here, I told y'all about some activities that was going on near my home. I had to call the police 5 different times and no one came. Outside these chamber doors, Interim Chief Aldridge told me he promised it would never happen again. It happened the very next weekend. It has escalated because I'm part of Code Blue and everybody knows that. They came into my yard, turned my water spigots on in the middle of the night. The father wants to play road rage games with his lifted truck versus my motorcycle. I've reported this. I have spoken to everyone, NPO Vidari, NPO Burke, NPO Sergeant Price, Lieutenant Martinez, Michael Chavez, and Deputy Chief Monica Martin. It's been going on way too long. They race 4-wheelers and side-by-sides up and down the street, blast their music. And I'm getting the brunt of it because I call it in. The other morning was the icing on the cake. On the 4th, 6 a.m., there was a prowler outside my home. I called it in. They said that I told them it was a male in a blue hoodie. They said if I couldn't give them a better description and a direction to travel, they weren't going to send anyone. I don't know what to do except come to y'all. I'm fully prepared to quit Code Blue because I'm not getting any recognition. What I want from Councilwoman Martinez, tell me you're going to fix it, or you can have my Code Blue badge right now. You have an answer? That's not good enough. Tell me you're going to fix it.
Sounds like it's an issue.
I have actually emailed the chief with the video of the prowler. And every one of these individuals I've talked to told me they're going to increase patrols in my area. If they would have done that, it seems like even by accident, they would have found somebody by now. You know what I'm saying?
Follow up with PD.
All right. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bob Willoughby, followed by Chris Wood. You're here, yes.
Yeah, okay. Let's go ahead and play the video.
Hey, Maddie, will you and City Council has just got to stop playing games and put this agenda back to where it was before pre-Maddie Parker years. That's all. We've got to hit the reset button and put it back. The thing about it is, what you just did was not for the people, but for yourself. You removed the comment meetings and you put us back on the agenda, but at the bottom of the agenda. And like I say, move your announcements to the bottom below the people. That's where it should be at. When we have the right people sitting up there, they'll do that. You'll put the council's announcements at the bottom of the agenda, right below us, where you got us. And actually, you should put us on top. Just like at the school board, we're on top. And all the cities around us, council's on top. And this is where the whole thing started. There was no problem with our agenda. No one complaining, but here's what you do. You go do this, and we spend more time having to fight with you to try to get back what you took from us than we do working on issues about the city, and this is ridiculous.
But Bob, tonight, you were right. Taking away the citizen presentation of speaking is harmful.
You need to resign, you need to step down, you need to go on. You don't, that's what you need. That's the best thing you can do for this city is resign. And, but if we're gonna have to fight inch by inch to get it back, then we'll fight inch by inch, but at the same time, the most easiest thing that people can do is tell you to hit the reset button because there's so much you took from us, and that will put it back. Just move us from the bottom to the top, move yourself to the bottom. That'd be the best thing you can do, right there.
Now that, you know, putting us on the bottom, you asked for a raise. You want more money. That's ridiculous, really is. And, you know, I just can't believe how you treat the people and turn around and ask for a raise, really. And Chris, that video about you, now before you got up there, you were with us. You were out here, you were with us. But once you got up there and you were with us for just a little bit, you stood up back then, but then they control you. The puppet masters control you, the people that control y'all. We don't. The Basses and the developers and all that's got money, they control you. We don't. It's silly when I hear people come down here and ask you for stuff like you're going to do it and you can't do it. If you were decent, Maddie, you would resign. There's a material world and a spiritual world. You live in a material world, you do. You people do, not in a spiritual world, material. That's all you care about. You don't care about people, rights, or anything. Take us from the bottom and put us on top. That's not hard to do. That shows respect for the people. You have no respect. You do not deserve no raise.
Chris Wood, followed by George Childs.
I'm Chris Wood. By golly, I support a pay raise for Fort Worth City Council. Please include a yearly cost of living increase. I agree with this pay increase because of results, fairness, and the long-term strength of our local democracy. First, since the summer of 2024, and I'll spare you the spreadsheet, police data shows Fort Worth has experienced a 14% decrease in overall crime and a 15% decrease in violent crime. These statistics do not erase the pain of recent violent incidents, but this overall progress matters. No single group can claim full credit, yet City Council leadership plays an important role in creating safer communities. The response of council members to recent incidents shows the necessary dedication to help bring violent crime to an end. Second, Fort Worth City Council members are among the lowest paid elected officials compared to other major Texas cities. Dallas council members earn more than double, and Austin council members earn more than 5 times what Fort Worth council members are currently paid. My goodness, that is a significant gap for a city of Fort Worth's size. Fair compensation is essential to attracting and retaining strong candidates. When council service is underpaid, it limits who can realistically serve. Adequate pay helps ensure that public office is open not just to the wealthy or retired, but to working residents who bring valuable experience and perspective. In addition, what is seen on the agenda is only a portion of the actual workload. Outside the chamber, council members meet with residents, oversee infrastructure projects, balance budgets, and attend community events and meetings tied to important public interests. Furthermore, including a yearly cost of living increase is only fair. This yearly increase will help council members maintain purchasing power, prevent a decline in the standard of living, and promote stability and predictability. This is not about getting ahead. It is about not falling behind. In conclusion, a wage increase and cost of living adjustment is justified by workload, regional comparison, and the principle of fair and inclusive governance. Proper compensation prevents a government by the wealthy for the wealthy. Thank you.
George Childs, followed by Reed Bills.
My name is George Vernon Childs. I live in Fort Worth. In the last year, when cataracts became an influence, often a decisive one, in everything I did, I'd been speaking at city council meetings fairly frequently since Bob Boland was mayor. The cataracts were gone at federal taxpayer expense by December 2nd, 2025, and so they had nothing to do with my semi-coherent public comments then and on January 6, 2026. But as inept as these were, the closing of the latter was on point as anything can be. VOTE. Vote in 2027 for the First Amendment. And if the mayor doesn't run, vote for anyone she doesn't endorse. Eliminate her approach to exercise of free speech in municipal government, root and branch. By approach, I do not mean just ignoring rules when she feels like it, and selective enforcement when she does recognize the existence of a rule. I plan to show evidence of both of those in the future, but beyond that, I mean the mayor, while acting as council presiding officer, and thus on behalf of every citizen of Fort Worth, lying about speakers who have offended her. To wit, on October 31st, 2023, Bob and Adrian had called in comments, which of course none of us can now do because they were banned from being personally present at City Hall. On that date, the mayor chose to make the following statements at video time 51 minutes, 10 seconds, quote, "The only reason that our two speakers are by phone is that they decided that it would be appropriate to curse," here she either said at or out, "a 12-year-old Little League team while they were here celebrating their win." So we just kind of put a stop to that for a few months. Hopefully they can come back in the spring and be better behaved, especially around children, unquote. Over 2 months before this, Bob and Adrian had received documents signed by the city attorney and the then city manager styled, quote, "restriction applicable to your presence in Fort Worth City Hall building," unquote. The word children or any variation of it does not appear in either. The mayor chose to replace these governmental records with a version that was unwritten, unsworn, undocumented, and could not be answered at the meeting where it was made. More reasons for replacement will be forthcoming. For now, I will close by saying how heartened I was, and that is the very word for it, by the displays of incisive reasoning and varied and adept employment of analogy by several speakers on January 13th.
Our next speaker is Reed Bills, followed by Charles Bills.
I am speaking to you tonight about the Fort Worth Anti-Discrimination Ordinance. I have asked before how the terms of the ordinance will be enforced now that the Diversity and Inclusion Department has been eliminated. According to the city's webpage, services are now assigned to the Civil Rights Office. I request that council ask for a report on whether or not complaints are being handled effectively and timely by this office. And proactively, I would urge this council not to follow the lead of Arlington's City Council and confuse DEI with discrimination by removing protection from discrimination from the Anti-Discrimination Ordinance. Further, now that Senate Bill 8, the bathroom bill, became law on December 4th, I would like to know if you plan to enforce the law in city-owned buildings, and if so, how you plan to carry out the enforcement. Or will you take the appropriate action and provide a gender-neutral single-stall restroom or designate one in all your city-owned buildings to be available to the public? Residents of the visitors to Fort Worth have a right to the answers to these concerns, and as a city council, you have an obligation to provide them.
Charles Bills, followed by CJ Johnson.
Okay, last year you eliminated the DEI, the DNI
department, and I remember specifically Mr. Flores saying it was going to be temporary as soon as the laws are ironed out. Now, I know recently the Trump administration has lost its first lawsuit. DEI is now allowed in school districts, and it's inevitable that they're going to lose, and it'll be re-allowed in cities. So I hope that we immediately, as soon as possible, return DEI to the city.
CJ Johnson, followed by Lee King.
I'm half asleep, guys. Mayor Parker, City Manager Chapa, council members, fellow Fort Worthians that are left in the audience. I don't have a speech. I just wanted to speak from my heart today. I'd like to address some of the dissension in our city and how we can find ways to try and function as a family more. What do I mean by that? If you look around the dais, or you look in the audience, we're all different. Different races, different religions, different political affiliations. But that doesn't make us enemies, guys. This makes us different. So my ask is that we try to start to find common ground with one another. I was encouraged when I watched a city council work session, and Councilmember Hall spoke up on behalf of the residents as it related to a community interest notice being sent out. She wanted to make certain that the citizens were actually being engaged and that it wasn't just a technicality to check a box. And then Councilmember Beck speaking up to try and develop guidelines or some type of a fee or a fine structure for developers not following inspection guidelines. Councilmember Larsdorf for advocating on behalf of veterans, small business benefits. Councilmember Peoples for being concerned enough about a citizen whose water was turned off during the recent ice storm. And then Councilmember Martinez for assisting her to get the water turned back on. Guys, that's what families do. We need to start functioning more as a family here in the city of Fort Worth. So my ask of the people on this dais is that as our city grows and our skylines are rising and our streets are expanding, and we're considering naming rights for our convention center, that we put the people first. As a matter of fact, let's put the people at the center of the development and planning stages. Because without the people, we're just buildings and streets. Thank you all for listening.
Our next speaker is Lee King, followed by Crystal King. Lee or Crystal? Caroline James. EJ Carrion, followed by Derica Patterson.
Left the phone. Alrighty, so you guys voted to keep amendments and not challenge amendments. You blamed the Fort Worth Report and Star Telegram for poor communication. I'm looking at the charter language right here. I'm going to send it to you guys because we've been here too long to probably read it and then you actually listen and understand any of it. And I think what we have to watch here is the question that never was asked: if a federal overreach happens again and DEI or what's happening in Arlington, where the LGBTQ supports are being eliminated, does Jay Chapa have the power to remove that on his own? That question wasn't asked before you all voted green for that situation. We do not feel comfortable with what you guys gave us. Oh, you just blamed Star Telegram. And Chris, what I'm learning is that maybe because you have the safest seat, maybe because we rock with you a little bit more than everybody else here, you're the one that tells us the bad news. Oh, you know, we can't change public comments because we didn't talk about that until just now. Oh, we can't do anything about that because, oh, that's the Fort Worth Report and the Star Telegram. I want you guys to know it's very simple why everyone's here. And let's be clear, who's here today? We had a big day at County Commissioner's Court. This wasn't even trying. This wasn't even trying. You know, this wasn't even trying. So I want you guys to know the reason why everyone's here, the reason why we're staying late with all of you, all right, is because if Tarrant County is the largest swing county in America, and Fort Worth is 47% of that county, that means if they're the battleground of our democracy, which Steve Bannon says right here in Fort Worth, Texas, right? That means that if we're 47% of the county and they're the battleground, Fort Worth is the front lines. So this energy we're bringing is because you are in the front lines. And there's three types of enemies right here, right now. Number one is the extremists. We saw how Leah Wamsgans did with your endorsement. She didn't get too far with Taylor Remmett, who went plus 17 for Trump. Taylor Remmett wins that one. Let's be clear. None of you are plus 17 Republican up here. All right, let's be clear. Now we got the extremists. You guys are done, but that doesn't stop. What happened next is now the establishment. Why I came so hard at you for the last year, Maddie. The establishment enabled the extremists. And now you're dealing with those consequences today, and so are you today, Jay Chapa, and I'm not sure where Chris lands, and I'm not sure where everyone else is landing on this dais as well. Because then there's the third head to the dragon, and that's the enablers. Carlos Flores is a really good enabler. He says he's a Democrat. He shows up to James Tallarico's event. He acts like he's one with us. And then he's the sole vote because he thought there was going to be someone to bear hug and help save him from the public comments, and he was the sole one wanting to reduce public comments. Are you guys a part of the bad dragon, or are you going to be a part of the people?
Derica Patterson, followed by Sabrina Ball.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members and city staff. I'm Derica, and I'm the president of Rainbow Ridge HOA. Almost 2 weeks ago, our neighborhood was devastated by the loss of a 62-year-old neighbor who had only been here for 8 months. Her family worked tirelessly to bring her from Cameroon for safety and opportunity, and she was killed by a stray bullet in her own home. This violence was not random to us. It was not unforeseeable. It was preventable. Just a week before this tragedy, neighbors gathered at Fort Worth Police Department South Division to voice concerns about constant gunfire we hear or witness on an average of 4 times a week. Many residents left feeling defeated and hopeless after being told in more ways than one that reactivity is the only option, that unless something specific happens, little can be done, and that much of the gunfire comes from what was described as knuckleheads shooting into the air. My grandmother always said that a bullet don't have a name on it, and that wisdom kept us away from places and people we had no business being. But what happens when the bullet with no name enters your place of peace and refuge? In this case, the bullet entered through the front door, traveled through her neck, out her cheek, and exited the home, shattering the back window. She was simply returning to her living space after a routine bathroom break. I am not here to place blame. I am here to make clear that our requests for lighting are not aesthetic wants. Increased nighttime patrols are not entitlement. Follow-ups on cameras are not preferences, they are necessities. We are asking for a visible citywide collaborative response. We need a full educational media and action campaign against illegal gunfire. Let's go to the middle schools and high schools with presentations similar to the DARE program. Let's use billboards, social media, streaming, and television ads with the same urgency as Click It or Ticket or Do You Know Where Your Child Is? This must become cultural pressure, not just enforcement after the fact. Our community wants to partner, not complain, and I'm offering my full support and participation wherever appropriate within my scope. And I also want to thank Councilwoman Dr. Mia Hall for bringing this forward at the Public Safety Committee meeting last week, and to Councilwoman Beck for your continued advocacy since 2021. We cannot normalize this. We cannot accept it as inevitable, and we cannot wait for another family to grieve before acting. Thank you for your time. Oh, and I support the raise because it's about to be 11 o'clock, baby.
Sabrina Ball, followed by Alan Lobaugh.
Get up and wiggle your butts. I don't mind. It's a long night. Your packet has a short memo and a proposal regarding ICE in schools. I know many of you have children. I have teenagers, and I've noticed that their tolerance for BS is pretty low. They've seen some serious violence in our schools, and because of that, we've taught them that if they see something, they should say something, and that's what they're doing. They're standing up and saying what they see is wrong. And it's not just the chaos in Minneapolis, it's their parents disappearing, it's former students disappearing, and their refugee friends disappearing, all while they watch violence unfold in other cities near school campuses, and they hear the government denying what kids can see with their own eyes. We have verified stories of people violently detained at school campuses, including Mr. Carlos Jimenez, who only stopped to tell an ICE vehicle that they were blocking the bus lane and that students would be arriving shortly. They pepper sprayed him, and when he tried to flee the gas, a natural response, they shot him. Our governor agrees. Abbott has publicly stated that ICE needs to recalibrate their approach. He emphasized the importance of restoring public trust, reducing community conflict and disruption, and he noted that enforcement should be carried out in a more structured manner. Our students are begging the adults in the room to do better. I hear we're a city of law and order. We have the opportunity to show our kids what that means. It doesn't mean masked men showing up at their school. It means the government following the rules. Our Safe Schools proposal does not block ICE. It simply asks them to follow the law and ensure safety on our campuses and minimal disruption. I'm here because we need collaboration with Fort Worth PD. The climate on any school campus depends strongly on trust. We can go a long way with our students and with our families by advocating for this proposal and by asking Chief Garcia to implement training with his officers to ensure that success. Tell our kids today that you appreciate and value their voices by advocating for law and order. I heard a student say, finals or families? He was asking you to put family first. It sounds like a true Texan. And earlier tonight, the kids from Fort Worth ISD Sister Cities were here, and this whole floor was full of very diverse students. And I had to think, are they going to countries where they'll be afraid? Like the exchange students that come here, they're probably afraid to come here. We can do better.
Alan Lobaugh, followed by David Rodriguez. Is Alan present? David Rodriguez. David will be followed by Adrian Smith.
So earlier today at Commissioner's Court, they agreed 3-2 with the obvious culprits for applying for $140,000 for their grant with ICE. Now, they like to say, Manny specifically, he liked saying that, well, these are just bad people. These are evil people. But, as long as ICE agents are actively tear gassing children, shooting citizens in the street, that makes all those immigrants bad. But it doesn't make the ICE agents all that bad. But 388 immigrant detainees spoil the whole immigrant bunch. And on the topic of good guys with guns and things like that, well, we've all seen what happened at Uvalde. And I don't know about you, but I don't think the good guys with guns showed up that day and really did much of anything. So there's also this conversation. It's something that they really like to play on, the idea of legality. Well, this is legal. We wrote it this way. It's legal. It's legal. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Slavery was legal. Jim Crow after that was legal. Doesn't make any of that the correct and or moral choice. So I'm hoping that when it comes down to brass tacks, because I had a conversation with an officer and we're trying to frame around realities and this and that. Well, as we've already seen, push has already come to shove. And so with these grants coming in and now, especially with this grant basically being approved, and if we start to see ICE crawling through our cities, through our streets, into our schools, into things like that, I'm supposed to just say it's illegal. You know, 140K for a whole entire county, it's legal. They're allowed to do that. But and not only have they actually apprehended a police officer. ICE actually detained a police officer from New Orleans. So you tell me, when push comes to shove, are you, you know, all the boys in blue, are you willing to just give your authority and apparently all this public trust that you've been trying to build up to masked men who will do anything at the drop of a hat and are so eager to commit violence, not just against children or anything, they'll do it to you too. So please just let that be on y'all's minds.
Adrian Smith, followed by Malik Austin.
Handouts have been provided. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Adrian Smith, and I am a volunteer reading a prepared statement on behalf of Keep Lake Como Beautiful, a program of Proof of Life Community Development Corporation. I am reading the organization's approved text of record. KLCB's Seat at the Table campaign is grounded in one principle: no single entity should be treated as the sole civic voice for an entire neighborhood. This is a process request to improve representation, access, and integrity in city resource neighborhood work. Lake Como residents include homeowners, renters, churches, nonprofits, multifamily communities, and small businesses. They are all affected by city-facing decisions and all need meaningful access to process. Our concern is operational. When engagement runs through a narrow channel, participation drops, confusion rises, and records become harder to find. We are asking for practical standards that improve trust and reduce friction. 1, a multi-organization distribution protocol for Lake Como notices and updates. 2, a clear records custodian pathway by department for city resource neighborhood work. And last 3, a standard public materials package for major neighborhood processes, notice, meeting materials, summary, and next step pathway. These are governance improvements, not personal disputes. They strengthen collaboration while preserving recognized neighborhood roles. This request does not displace any recognized organization. It prevents single channel dependency. Lake Como is bigger than any one table. We are collecting stakeholder sign-ons for the Seat at the Table campaign at bit.ly/Lake Como table. Thank you for your time. And in closing, keep the date, Saturday, February 14, 2026, Valentine's Day, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., KLCB Season 2 walkthrough plus open house will convene at 5112 Bonnell Avenue, Fort Worth, Texas, 76107. You all are welcome.
Malik Austin, is Mr. Austin still here? No. Stephen Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence will be followed by Jim DeLong. I don't think I see Jim. And then Kimberly Lawrence.
Is this the right mic? There we go. Hi, my name is Stephen Lawrence. I'm a lawyer in Fort Worth. I've lived here for 10 years, and this is the first time I felt the need, or at least taken the opportunity to speak to a government body, even though I've spoken at a lot of nonprofit events. Last fall, I took notice of the mask and that ICE and CBP are using. I've talked to Fort Worth police officers, and at least one have told me that he believes others are imitating ICE officers in wearing masks, including cartels. And he's not the only one that shares that concern. According to credible reporting from Wired and others, as well as a letter from members of Congress, the FBI sent a notice to law enforcement last October. I read about this and I pulled the source of it, and I wanted to get it from the city, so I sent a public information request on January 13th. I haven't received a reply from it. I followed up on February 5th. I haven't received a reply from that. So I would like to know, you guys have the power to get this, and I'm not in the business of litigating with cities and appealing public information requests. So if you guys could look for this FBI memo, and I'll just read what it says, which reflects things said by others. This situational awareness report informs state, local, and federal law enforcement partners about criminal actors impersonating ICE agents to commit violent crime. Due to the recent increase in ICE enforcement actions across the country, criminal actors are using ICE's enhanced public profile and media coverage to their advantage to target vulnerable communities and commit criminal activity. This not only affects the victims and the communities, but also has broader negative consequences on law enforcement agencies. These criminal impersonations make it difficult for the community to distinguish between legitimate officers conducting lawful law enforcement action and imposters engaging in criminal activity, which damages trust between the local community and law enforcement officers. Now, I can't vouch for this document. I found it, Wired reported on it, congressional members reported on it, but you guys have the power to get that from the Fort Worth Police Department, and I would ask you to look into that. And I would also just remind you that according to the Texas Constitution, natural law, God-given rights, and the Second Amendment, we all have the right to keep and bear arms. And if you can't tell the difference between law enforcement and criminals, bad things happen. There's already been an imposter break-in that's resulted in a shooting in Houston, which is not one of the ones listed in the FBI memo. So for both the safety of law enforcement and us, please look into this. Ask the police department and check. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kimberly Lawrence. Kimberly Lawrence will be followed by James Smith. I don't see Mr. Smith here, so it'd be Jamie Perkins, or Jaime Perkins, excuse me.
Good evening. I'm the proud parent of a graduate of I.M. Terrell Academy, a graduate of Pascal High School, and 2 current students at Pascal High School. Now that Tarrant County has welcomed the expansion of ICE in our community, I'm here tonight to ask you to step in and mitigate the danger this expansion poses. You have an opportunity to do this because it's the right thing for your constituents, and because after Taylor's win, Fort Worth is in the national spotlight, and as goes Tarrant County, goes the rest of the country. I'm here to ask that the Fort Worth Police Department work together with Fort Worth ISD to carry out the proposed Safe Schools policy Sabrina provided you to prevent immigration enforcement activities from disrupting our schools. Schools exist to educate children. They're not places of immigration enforcement. It is impossible for students to focus on learning if ICE is at their school, detaining them and/or their family members at best, at worst, assaulting and murdering them. In the time since a similar proposal was submitted to the school board last year and not adopted, ICE has kidnapped and murdered adults and children around the country with impunity. We've watched them target schools to do so. As a direct result, Fort Worth ISD families are terrified of this happening to them at their schools, and many students are staying home and missing school. This underscores the importance of clear, protective school policies regarding student safety and privacy to ensure students continue learning and schools remain in attendance compliance. We're asking that Fort Worth ISD policy ensure ICE is not causing panic and pickup or drop-off, lurking nearby, stalking school events, or stopping school buses and vans, and that the Fort Worth Police Department enforce that policy. As one of the largest school districts in Texas, Fort Worth ISD and the city of Fort Worth can set a new standard for law and order in this country. Help us return to a sense of safety in our community by holding federal law enforcement to the highest constitutional standards and demonstrating that true law and order begins with protecting children.
Jaime Perkins, followed by Alexander Montalvo.
Okay, first on ICE and schools. Schools must be places where students feel safe and focused on learning. Immigration enforcement on or near campuses causes panic, lower attendance, and disrupts education for everyone. Students, families, and educators should never have to fear that showing up to schools could put them at risk. I urge support for a clear, no disruptions on campus policy with proper protections for students and clear guidance for staff. Families need real protections, not just statements of values, and schools must remain safe spaces where all children can learn without fear. Now, because I wasn't, for whatever reason, called up earlier, I did sign up to speak on zoning cases ZC 25184 and ZC 25205, the both that pertain to Black Mountain Data Center, so I'll be speaking on that. I strongly oppose the proposed rezoning of both of these plots of about 40 acres from agriculture to light industrial. This is not just about zoning. It is about homes, it's about neighborhoods, it's about the environment, it's about people. Black Mountain wants to expand directly to the border of Forest Hill and Southeast Fort Worth, even more than it's already expanded all across Southeast Fort Worth. Approving the zoning would be reckless and a betrayal of the community. Data centers of this size operate 24/7 and consume enormous amounts of electricity and water. They place extreme strains on the power grid, contribute to environmental degradation, and provide very few jobs. The constant noise, light pollution, and increased traffic will disrupt the daily lives of residents for decades. These impacts are permanent and the community should not be forced to bear them. Longtime residents that I've spoken to all across Southeast Fort Worth and Forest Hill have made it clear that this expansion is unacceptable. People who have lived in this area for decades are speaking out because their homes, safety, and quality of life are directly threatened. This is not hypothetical. It is real, immediate, and serious. The council has a responsibility to protect the community, not approve projects that prioritize industrial expansion over the lives of people who live there. I want to thank Councilmember Martinez for intervening and securing a continuation. Voting for approval will put the community at enormous risk. I also want to thank Councilmember Martinez for seemingly being the only person that read the letter from a 40-year resident of that area. Yeah, these proposals are not compatible with responsible growth, and approving them would be a clear failure to uphold the council's duty to the people of Fort Worth. Between now and March 10th, I will hope to provide briefings on data centers, Black Mountain, and connect the council with nearby residents who are gravely concerned. But please make no mistake, these zoning cases should be denied. They represent clear damage. We can fix this, though. We can fix
Alexander Montalvo.
So I'm going to keep talking about ICE because that is an important topic that we need to start having many more conversations about right now. With what the County Commissioners Court did today by accepting the state grant and with the very real potential of expanding ICE operations in Tarrant County, we need to understand that our communities are at risk. We have seen the deaths happen in other parts of the country, and there's been a huge response to people's worst fears happening in their community. But we've actually already seen the impact of ICE in our community in Tarrant County because the Tadabishi family, who lives in Arlington, had US citizen Wael Tadabishi die because of his father, his primary caretaker, detained by ICE for no legitimate reason. And without that care, He had to go to the hospital multiple times and ultimately died. And we did nothing to try to protect him. As a county, as leadership, as community, and now ICE is going to expand operations here in Tarrant County, and we are not even prepared for any of those actions happening. Maddie, you advocated for Fort Worth ISD to change what it was doing that has now led to a TEA takeover of the district. Well, 70% of those students are Latino students, Latino families. Are you going to stand up for those families now as ICE terrorizes the community? I've already heard from students in Fort Worth ISD where their classmates are no longer attending class because someone got deported and now the family is gone. And Alan, you can wake the hell up and open your eyes. This is something that is going to continue to terrorize us here in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. And right now, I haven't heard anything legitimate from this city council around it, much less our Latino leaders. It is on y'all to step up and to actually fight for our community. And it's not just our community that's being targeted, of course. The Tadabishi family is not Latino. But we know the actions of what this administration is trying to do is to target the Latino community, to vilify and terrorize us, as well as our other diverse community members. We cannot afford to wait for people to be murdered in the streets of Fort Worth and Tarrant County. It's time for y'all to start acting now.
Council, that's the conclusion of our public comment speakers. We do have one item that we need to reconsider. It's ZC 25-204 that will offer an opportunity for Councilmember Hall to recuse on that particular vote. So I do need a motion for reconsideration. Got a motion and a second. And then I'll allow Councilmember Hall to read into the record. Sorry, there we go.
Thank you, Mayor, and I apologize to my colleagues. I need to recuse myself from ZC 25204 due to my employment with Fort Worth ISD. Thank you.
Got a motion and second on the floor. Please vote. Motion carries, and our meeting is adjourned.